color seem to thrive, and they seem to, shrug off all of all of us as indeed a lot of what would be seen as stumbling blocks, but and continue to press on and do whatever that they wanted to do. You see, they, again, give me an example of them being able to not create, but call forth whatever they desire for themselves. However they want to see themselves in an environment that may not be too conducive of that happening. You know what I mean? It's not like all the ducks were lined up in a row and everything just lined up just like it was supposed to. So, consider these things going forward. A lot of times, we don't want to be one-sided in our judgments. We want to be just, right, and fair. But a lot of times people will only look at maybe one side of history. And that's another thing, for those of you who are listening via Facebook and those of you who are listening via YouTube, that the Abrahamic-Faith Bible has done, the Hidden Truth of Great Scrolls has done, is it helped uncover some of these truths, the facts about history that were, that are being skewed and twisted for a particular agenda today. How many of you celebrated Purim? You look at the history of what went on there, and that in itself, the Hidden Truth of Great Scrolls has helped clear up in a lot of ways. Religion has taken that and changed it to fit their particular model. You know what I mean? And so we have to look at all these things and not be one-sided, but look at things as a whole in our judgments. Because believe me, every day you're making judgments and every day you're making decisions. But, we need to make them in a way that's just, right, and fair, coming from the DNA of El Shaddai. We want to be just, and we want to be right. We want to make things right, and we want to be fair. And I truly believe that's the very essence of what's going on here in North America. When you look at, who has been elected to lead, who is put in there in North America, President Biden, that's all he talks about. Look, we got to make things fair for everybody. Not just for a select group of people, but for everybody, that we can all come together and under one umbrella, under tent, and unify ourselves as one people, one nation under God. I think that's brilliant. I mean, he didn't say it that way, but I'm just paraphrasing. So consider those things going forward. So when you look at the Black History Month and when they come up and they start to tell you all of these great things that were done with people of color that have contributed to, in a positive way, by the way, that have contributed to North America in a positive way. And when I say that, I do want to include peoples of color. The Chinese have contributed to North America. The indigenous peoples, the Indians have contributed to North America. The Hispanics, or what they call the Mexican people, have contributed to North America. Let's not discount all these people that come over on boats, like the Polish and all these other people. The Italians. I mean, the Italians have done some great things. How many of you love pizza? Who you have to thank for that? How many of you are pizza lovers in the house? Any pizza lovers? Put up a capital P. We have pizza lovers in the house. So there's been a lot of contributions amongst many different, races and ethnicities. But more importantly, you look at the people of color, and I'm very happy that they do single it out, because they don't want to be one-sided and say, because history has a way of skewing things. Because I was taught when I went to school, how many of you taught that Eli Whitney invented the cotton gin? How many of you were taught that? Eli Whitney, he invented the cotton gin. Well, surprise, surprise. We come to find out later on when the sheets of truth have been uncovered that, Eli Whitney did invent the cotton gin. It was actually invented by those who were working hard out in the cotton fields, and they came up with this invention to help them work smarter, better, and to work smarter and not harder. And I'm telling you, that's a mantra that I would truly advise for you to take and pass on to your children and your children's children, is to work smart. Don't work hard. Work smart. And so they invented this, and of course, then, like with a lot of other inventions, somebody else's name was put upon it, you see. So, you have to consider these things going forward. Really, really consider these things going forward. Oliver says, one of my favorite inventors is Benjamin Banneker. Oh, indeed. Baruch Hashem. There you go. There you go. So, again, we have to look at these things. And a lot of this history, like I said, has been put under the covers, but now it's being uncovered and revealed. And now we're seeing history, the truth of history coming out, the facts about history. Because believe me, they tell you about Esther and they, they're giving you the truth, but are they giving you the facts on the matter? You see? And so they tell you about Purim, but they're giving you the truth about Purim, but are they giving you the facts about Purim? And so this is why those of you who listen to Facebook and those of you who listen live is, to have the Abrahamic-Faith Bible, to help reveal and uncover some of the truth about the facts about the truth. Because there's many truths. I've been taught by my Kohen that there's many truths out there, but what really are the facts on the ground? And, the facts are coming out, and they're coming out in dribs and drabs so we can handle it. You see, because I guarantee you, coming back to, the faith of my forefathers, the very belief of my forefathers, the very feeling of my forefathers, if I can put it that way, the very feeling of my forefathers. If I was told some of the things that, Hakohen is teaching us now, I tell you, I've probably run 1,000 miles away. Satan, Shabbat Shalom to you, and welcome. Welcome to the room. So, Hakohen, if you're ready to go, let me know when you're ready to go. I'll turn it over to you. Just doing a little brief synopsis. But what I would like you to do, Mishpah, is like the question that I asked earlier is, what have you gained? What have you learned these 6 days of labor in your environments that you're in the world that you're in? Okay, all set. Okay, over to you, Hakohen. Shabbat Shalom and Shalom Shalom. I'll see you on the other side of Hakohen's lecture. Shabbat Shalom, Shalom Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom to you, Rabbi Simon, and the other rabbis in the room. Shabbat Shalom to you and to the Mishpachah, to the family at large. Shabbat Shalom to everybody. Great week. Happy Purim to you as well today. As you know that this day was being celebrated as Purim Day. They started from last night. However, as you know that because of the solar dates that we have, they're different dates that fall on for Purim on different calendars. So some of us do it on the solar calendar, which is called the Enoch calendar, and some of us do it on the regular calendar, which is the lunar calendar. However, I was in a little bit of a hurry because I had to attend a meeting. So what I did, I recorded my lecture, and I thought I might not make it, but I made it back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play my lecture, which is pre-recorded, but I'm still present. But what I'll do is once Rabbi Kefa takes over at the end of my lecture, when I hand it over, I'll still be here, and then I'll take it live, and any questions, as I have a few more things to say. So what I will do is at the end of my lecture, I'll hand it over to Rabbi Kefa. Then Rabbi Kefa will hand it back to me, and then I will take it live. So the lecture is pre-recorded, like I just recorded it, and so I'm going to put it out. This is a very, very important lecture. I want you to listen to it very carefully. And it's, one of those lectures that's going to set the standard, how we live. And also, you may need to listen to it more than once. I do talk about the vaccines in there as well, because, there is the issue of vaccines. But my auntie died, my real blood auntie. She recently died about 2 days ago. She passed on to the next life. And we were not sure at the time whether it was coronavirus or not, because of course, she's the same blood as my dad, right? So that really put me in a question that how can she die from coronavirus? It just can't be coronavirus. There's no way. So anyway, no way that can happen in my family because it's pure bloodline. So anyhow, I went over there. I had a discussion with her sons yesterday. I went to pay my commiserations, and it turned out that she had not one but 2 corona tests, and she had no corona. Both were negative. So she died from what they claimed was an asthma-related issue, that her asthma got really bad, and they couldn't control it. So she passed on from that. And I look forward for her to return soon. Baruch Hashem Yahweh, may the name of the great God that we serve be praised in everything. And she will be back soon, so I'm not too worried about that. So I was kind of, paying commiserations to the family. So I was running around, and I recorded my lecture. So I'm going to just play that, and then after that, we'll carry on with Rabbi Kefa. And if anybody can't hear, if there's any issues, just let me know, and I'll raise the volume. And then after Rabbi Kefa, I'll be back again. Todah for that. Shabbat Shalom, Mishpacha. This is Rabbi Simon Alter, the Kohen from the East. Baruch Hashem of Israel. Baruch Hashem for that. Todah, thank you for those that are in the room. And we shall continue with this. And any questions I'll take at the end. I won't pause. I won't get, this way I get sidetracked and may miss the point. So I'm kind of recording this and I'm doing it live. So, I will cover the live bits as we go along. Now, I wanted to, bring certain points, which I think because, I analyze languages, as a software engineer myself, I analyze languages, I analyze, as I travel around, I analyze people, I look at the way they talk, I look at the behaviors, I observe everything basically to learn, this is a learning, it's really learning for me, and it's for me to then teach other of my students, the good and the bad and the ugly. That's one of my favorite movies actually, the good, the bad and the ugly. So, apart from the 10 Commandments. So, having said that, one thing I wanted to point out is listening to, and hearing the word operant power. I hear that word a lot on the internet, when you get these ads and things people send you in your emails and stuff. And, a lot of these gurus, they use the word operant power. So hold fire on the word operant power, because I'm going to come back to that word. They say that you are the operant power. I'll come back to the word, but before I do, I wanted to tell you something about an experiment I did with a student of mine over here in the East. I said, well, there are a lot of gurus out there, and I have some students in India, and they probably know what I'm talking about. There's a lot of gurus in India. Oh, my goodness, you pick a brick and there's a guru down there. Oh, hi, can I help you? Namaste, can I help you? You pick one grip and you pick one brick, right, and another guru appears and Namaste, can I help you? What can I do for you, sir? Kind of thing. So this is so prevalent in India. And then they have their hundreds and hundreds of Bhagwan, their energies or their gods, if you want to call it, their powers that they will call up upon. And, each power, each god represents a different formula of what they can do. Like Lakshmi is goddess of wealth, then Saraswati is the goddess of, intelligence, music, things like that. So it's not really a criticism point. I'm not criticizing the Indian people in any way about the different styles of worship they do. I mean, that's what's been going on for thousands of years, and that's fine. That's what they do. But what I'm going to be analytical about is the gurus. I'm more analytical about the gurus than what the people, because the people are, like everywhere else, people are trying to do good for their lives. They're trying to live their lives and trying to live it the best way they can, or the best way they've been taught. Now, so we did an experiment, and I said to my student, there's no point just to, say to a guru, do something, because they're going to ask you money. And I said, so therefore, the only way we can really test something is give them a task to do. If you want to test something that it works or it fails, you have to give them a task. When you give them a task, they'll charge a certain amount of money. I said, I will pay that money and we will test it. We will test their mantras, their jantras and their jiantis and their, what's the other thing they do? You have these chalices and all sorts of things, basically, the Indian culture. So I said, well, let's test it out. And so what he did, he wrote to, using his WhatsApp, he wrote to a guru, and a guru came back with a response that he'll charge him for the service for, like 5,000 rupees, which to me, right, 5,000 rupees of give and take, I'm thinking the British, not the British, maybe the US dollar or the British pound. Let's just say it's about 25 pounds or $30, let's just say 25 pounds or, I don't know, give and take $30, argument's sake, approximate, doesn't have to be exact, $30. So they'll say $30 and we'll do, we'll pray for you and we'll do the chanting of the mantra, and we'll do it for a week, etc., and then you'll get the result. Okay? So okay. And then when I write to the same person, you see, because when my student wrote, he wrote from the number in Pakistan, the local number. So when I write with my WhatsApp number, which is American. So suddenly the rate goes up from $30 to $200. So they say to me, it's going to cost you $200 for this task. And I say, what are the chances that you can get this done? And they say, 100% will get it done. 100% this will work. And you just got to, trust us. We'll work it 100%. You just send us $200. We really need the money for flowers, and we need to buy some food to offer to the necessary deity that they're going to perform their worship against. And they will say things like, we'll do it for a week, and if you want to do it for a month, it's going to cost a lot more, etc., etc. So the rates go up from $30 to $200. If you want to do it for a month, they'll ask for a lot more. Then maybe they'll say to somebody in the US, they'll say it's going to cost you $500. You do it for a month, okay? And that's why. So I said to this one man, and my friend, I think he spoke to one, and he said it's going to be, $30, and to me he said $200, and I said, what are the chances of this happening? He said, definitely, 100% this will happen. I said, okay, where should I send the $200? He said, you send it to such and such address, bank account. Okay, I sent him the $200. So then I found another guru, gave him a similar task. I said, where should I send the money? Send to such and such, sent the money. Like this, I spent about $1,000. $1,000 gone in experimentation to different gurus in India. Now, I won't name the gurus because, I'm not here to, I'm not really here to name the gurus. Reason why is because, they're out there to do business, basically. That's what my sum total that I realized from this experiment was the idea of me spending $1,000 was to learn the behaviors of this culture, Indian culture, and how the gurus go around. Again, maybe cheating is maybe a strong word. I don't want to use the word cheating, but I'll use a word that, that they try to help, but actually they can't help. They really don't have the power. Okay, so they can make all the claims about them sitting in Himalayas, and they're in the mountain, they're in a cave, and they're, or they're chanting in a graveyard. They'll come with all sorts of claims such as that. And to me, that's absolutely BS. It makes no difference whether you sit in a graveyard, whether you sit in your room, or whether you sit on the mountaintop. I don't really care where you sit. What we're talking about here is the power. Do you really have the power and the authority to change something? Because we're talking about change in the universe or a change in the environment. Somebody got kidnapped. Can you release them? Somebody has come up with a court issue. Can you get that person out of the court issue? Somebody's fallen into a marriage problem. Can you get them out of the marriage problem? Somebody can't have a child. Can you get them a child with your prayers and stuff? That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about, go and rob a bank kind of thing. I'm just talking about the run-of-the-mill stuff that happens to people. So I wanted to experiment. And I said to my student, I said, we must experiment because I definitely will not, just say, just out of spite. I'm not going to spite nobody of what they do and how they do it. I'm not going to spite them. And I'm not going to criticize them and say that they're all rubbish or they're all wrong. I have to first test it. Unless I test it, unless I know the result, then I can say, yes, that this is true, or no, this is not true. So anyway, so I went through this list of gurus. There's about 8-10 of them at least, well-known 8-10 gurus. I went through that list, and I want to give you the result. So first of all, I explained to you that the money, how much they charge from one person to the next, depending on where you live, changes exponentially. If you live in the US, it'll be times 10. If you live in India, it'll be times 1. If this is how the money changes. If you're in Pakistan, of course, times 1. So that was a first nice surprise to me that they are not even-handed. If you came to me and you said to me, Rabbi, I have such and such problem, and I want you to do a, offering, equivalent offering, a sin offering for my forefathers' mistakes and whatever they did wrong, and that karma is following me, I'm finding that, I'm getting all sorts of hindrances, my business is not succeeding, or maybe, there's illness in the family and it continues that every generation is getting diabetes or every generation is getting cancer. So I've got illness following me, or I've got, money issues following me. Can you suggest to me what I need to do? Because you don't know what you need, right? So you come to me and say, can you suggest to me what I need to do? And I'll say, okay, you need to do the inadvertent transgression offering, sin offering, and then with that we'll stop the karma for your forefathers. And you ask me, what's the rate? And I'll say, well, whatever the price of lamb or goat is in Israel, that is the rate. If a goat in Israel is $200, a lamb is $200, then that is the rate that I will charge. I don't care where you live. I don't care you live in Timbuktu. I don't care you live in a palace in England or America. I just don't care you live in Beverly Hills. Your rate is going to be the same. Rates don't change because I have to use the rate that is present in Israel, Jerusalem, basically. Let's put it Israel, Jerusalem. So I take that rate and I say, okay, this is what it will be. And happy you go, whether you want it done or not done. Happy you go because that's what the Torah says to us. So whereas with Indian gurus, the rates change like the color of the flies and color of the sparrows over here. So the rates change immediately. One person could be paying $30, another could be charged $300 or more. So anyhow, to give you the result, the nice part is I gave them a task, and the task that I gave them did not complete, by the way. They took their 2 weeks, their sweet little 2 weeks or 1 week, sweet 1 week, and then after that 1 week, they started to make excuses and started to tell me, I need to send more money, and it will take longer time, blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay, so how much more money? And because, I pretended to be somebody who doesn't know, who's not in the know. So they're like, it's going to cost you 500 pounds. This is about $600. You're going to have to pay another $600, and we'll do it for a month, and then it will happen. And I said, what makes you so sure that if you charge me $600, that is going to work? Oh, no, it'll definitely work. I said, yeah, but that's what you said 2 weeks ago as well. You said 2 weeks ago that it will definitely work after 1 week of us doing this. We'll lay flowers and we'll do the necessary chanting on your behalf and for your family member, and this thing will happen. So I said, how come it never happened? So he's making all sorts of excuses. No, son, we need to do it longer. And yeah. Basically, the whole thing turned out to be phony baloney, and Mahoney. So anyway, I put a stop to that one. I went to another one, did the same. Got nowhere with that either, but it was less cost though. The next one was $100. It wasn't like $200. Then after that, I went to another one for $25. So like that, several amounts of money went. And then apart from that, there are so-called gurus on the internet. You probably find them. They're common on the internet. Indian gurus, and they claim the heaven and the earth, and they claim that, your life will change and this will happen and that will happen. Okay. All of those gurus are put to the test as well. None of their words, or their methods, I should say, words and methods, brought any fruition. Okay? So I want to make sure you understand that. I don't want you to fall into that trap, because you could easily fall into that trap with their words. So first of all, I paid real money, dollars and cents, and I did not get anywhere with any of them. None of the things I asked them came to pass. Not a single one. Okay? So I told my student, I said, there you go. In front of you, I spent $1,000, money paid to different gurus. We asked for different tasks. One of the tasks, I'm not going to name the tasks here because they're not all extremely hard anyway. So there's different tasks that we asked them. And I said that out of those different tasks, none of those tasks I can say today came to pass. Now, I said, now I'm not going to go to any more. I'm not going to go to any of these gurus now, That's it. I'm done with all these gurus. Again, I don't want to name them because I'm not here to name and shame people. That's what they do. That's okay. Let them carry on. So I said, I'm going to simply say this, that now I will do it my way. And my way is going to be according to the Torah and according to the Hebrew language, according to the principles of our forefathers. I'm going to put it to the test, and you will see, and I will tell you the result. And my goodness, result? Not just result, results. So I put it to the test, and then then the first task came to pass, the second came to pass, the third came to pass, the fourth came to pass, the fifth came to pass, and of course the sixth came to pass. The hardest task that I had on the list also came to pass, but with a time limit on it. So I said to my student, I said, look, my results have proven to me that all the tasks that I did myself have come to pass. So, what is my advice to you? Because, he was really into the Hindu worship. He really liked it. He's kind of from a Christian background. And he still does. And I'm not really, against him in any particular way for that, because he feels that he may get something out of it. But then he said, rather than ask the gurus, he didn't trust the gurus after that. He said, no, I don't trust the gurus. Obviously, the results were abysmal. But he said, I will do it myself. Whatever that mantra is, whatever those wordings are, he said he will do it himself. And that way he can prove true or false whether that works. And I agreed with him. I said, well, okay, I'm not doubting your, perseverance. I said, I'm not doubting your ability or your ability not to do it. I said, then the next best thing to do is that you do it yourself. And then you can report back the results to me. So, so he's still working on those things by himself. And I'm still waiting for the results. I mean, I've been here now for, I don't know how many months now. So, I'm giving him, this whole year basically, like last year. I think we started last year at some point. And I want to give him a bit more time before he can come back to me and say, yeah, it worked or no, it didn't work. So far what I can see is that he has had some effect doing it personally, but the effects haven't been lasting. There's not a lasting effect. And the actual thing that he's aiming for hasn't yet happened either. So this is why I want to give him a bit more time and flexibility so that he doesn't say that I was in a rush. I'll give him 3 to 6 months to practice his thing and then come and tell me the results. As far as I am concerned, the results have been, let's put it this way, less than favorable. So let's come back to the word operant power. So we'll talk about that next. So, this word is thrown around and really comes from, I think it really comes from the guy, Neville Goddard, operant power word. And a lot of people throw this word around like some kind of fancy, some kind of a word that will bring things to pass. And when they say you are the operant power, they mean that you are God, technically. Well, I want to challenge that statement today. And I want to challenge it in politeness because I want to just put out some reference facts. And then you can assess it for yourself as well. I feel that statement that you are the operant power is at fault. I'll put it this way, politely. Why? Because there is the God, right, that we know that there is a power, or powers, plurality, because Elohim is a plurality. There are powers up there, and those powers operate in our lives through us, which is a correct statement. So if I said that there are operant powers that operate through us, that would be a most accurate statement. But if I said I am the operant power, then I find that would be probably not an accurate statement. And this statement is thrown around a lot. So-called gurus, law of attraction gurus out there, they charge money to people and they kind of hoard people in. And statements like that they're going to change their lives and they're going to do this and they're going to do that. Of course, a lot of the people can't get nowhere with it because you already started off with the wrong step. When you made the wrong step and you said that you are the operant power, you now replaced the powers that are above us. In other words, Elohim. Well, let's use the word Elohim because that's a great word to have. And because, Elohim, when you start with the foundation that you are the operant power, then there's a number of problems, a number of issues. Number one, if you are the operant power, why did you get sick? Hey, you're supposed to be God. What the heck? If you're God, why are you getting ill? Why are you getting infection? Why are you getting coronavirus? Because you're God apparently. If you're God, you should not get coronavirus. You should not get sick and you should not die. It's even bigger one. And this is, it really fired me up. And I was thinking about this, that a lot of people make statements like, you're the operant power, that or I am the operant power, those kind of statements. Those statements I will submit to you today as the Kohen in the gate, humbly, that those statements are, in my opinion, and I'll give you my opinion, according to the Torah, and I'm not making this opinion up because I'm a Kohen. No. I'm not going to make this opinion because of being a Kohen. I want to make this opinion based on our Torah, our holy books. It's a false or it's an inaccurate statement. It's a very bad statement to make because you're not the operant power. Now, Neville Goddard didn't use, he wasn't technically saying that you're de facto the powers above. He was basically, you got to understand what he was saying. He was a British man. He meant well for the people. He was teaching them manifestation laws. He wasn't speaking from that angle that people have taken upon themselves and end up in a gutter. You know what I mean? Because they can't produce diddly squat and they think that they are the operant power. Then they get sick. Then they get ill. Then they get coronavirus, COVID-19. Then they have to go get vaccines or whatever. So who is the operant power then? Definitely not that person. So what would Neville Goddard mean that you're the operant power is exactly what I said earlier. We should not take people out of context because he's not around, he's not alive to explain everything. But I personally believe that he was talking from a similar point of view because remember, Neville Goddard wasn't a stupid man. He's an intelligent man. And guess what? He had a rabbi for a teacher. Yeah, Rabbi, Abraham, Rabbi Abdullah was his teacher. He was an Orthodox rabbi. He wasn't even a Christian New Testament believer. But he was an Orthodox rabbi. He was his teacher. He taught him Kabbalah. He taught him the manifesting law, the perfect law. And so would Neville now contradict his teacher? Because his teacher didn't believe he's the operant power. So would Neville be going around contradicting his teacher? The answer is no. The answer is this, that most people who read Neville today, his books online, or listen to his lectures, they have mistook him and misinterpreted Neville. Because Neville didn't say that you are technically or you are the God, or the operant power. He was basically saying exactly what I'm saying, that the operant powers up there, they operate through you. Because they have to have a body, Somebody has to be impregnated. So just like when, Rabbi Kefa was going to have a son, but Rabbi Kefa is not going to get pregnant. He needs a body, a female body, because only a female, only a wife, a woman, would be able to carry pregnancy. So Rabbi Kefa needed a wife to impregnate, to bring forth his son Nakshan into the world. Now, if Rabbi had told you, I am the operant power, I'm going to produce my son, and here I am pregnant now for 9 months, that would be something to see, isn't it? So definitely not something to see, but the correct thing to understand is that Rabbi Kefa would become the channel for the operant power. So the operant powers that are the powers of Israel, the powers of Abraham, the God of Abraham, those are the operant powers. And those operant powers would then channel themselves, through Abraham in his time. In our time, they would channel themselves through you as a person, whether you're male or female. And so therefore you get what you're asking for through the channel. So you're not the operant power. The operant power is outside of you, but you channel it through you. That's how it should be. So when Neville was saying that you're the operant power, Neville wasn't saying that you're God per se. He was saying that you are the channel through which God operates. In other words, the God that's beyond our beyond our universe, beyond our atmosphere. So I think that's how that needs to be understood. Because if you take it the wrong way, you'll end up with the wrong conclusion. Now the Parsha, of course, this week is Parsha's Tetzaveh, Parsha 20, book of Exodus, chapters 27, verse 20. If we read, it says, "And you shall command the children of Israel that they bring you pure oil of pressed olives for the light, to cause a lamp to burn continually in the tent of the appointed times, outside the veil, which is before the congregation, for a true report. Aaron and his sons shall tend it from evening until morning before Yudhewahi. It shall be a statute forever to their generations on behalf of the children of Israel." So, what does that mean? That means that the Kohanim were appointed, the appointed teachers for the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They were the appointed teachers to bring the teachings, the correct teachings of the perfect law to the people of Israel, or anybody else that was part of the people of Israel. But the children of Israel had to supply the oil, right? They had to bring you the pure oil of pressed olives. Now, of course, today you go to buy olive oil, in North America, I can tell you, probably in England, I can tell you the price there as well, and I can probably tell you the price in Pakistan of both the places. So in England, a price of olive oil, like 5-liter cans, probably going to be around £30, 28 to £30. In America, it's probably around $28 to $30 for a can, for a 5-liter. You might get it a little less price than that if you went to Costco, but then Costco don't sell you 5 liters. I think they sell you a little less. I don't know if it's about 3 liters maybe. So, having said that, you need to supply the oil. So what is the oil? Right? Okay, well let's turn this around and let's call it tithe. Let's call it zadaqah. Let's call it charitable offerings. So you have to supply them in order to receive back the recompense for it. But what happens over here is most people don't tithe. Most people don't care about the tithing, the zadaqah, the charitable offerings that go to the widows and orphans. They don't really care about it. All they care about is me, and more me. What do I get out of it? That's what they care about it. But they are so fundamentally hard-hearted when it comes to actually giving charitable offerings or tithe, because that's what's commanded. Now, I'm using the term oil over here because, we don't have a standing temple. You are the temple, in theory, technically, as Rabbi Kefa was speaking to you last week. You are the temple. If you are the temple, then of course, where's the pure oil going to come from? And who's going to channel that pure oil through the tent? And what does it say here? In the tent of the appointed times. If you are the tent, then who is the tent operator? It says Aaron and his sons shall tend it from evening until morning. Means that we, the sons of Aaron, will instruct you from morning until evening. It doesn't mean that we'll keep you here for 24 hours or for 12 hours. It means that we will instruct you in the way you should go. And what is the oil? Well, the oil is technically the tithing, the zadaqah, the offerings that you bring in to allow that person to teach you. Now, Aaron's not sitting there to do business, or his sons. They're not selling you goods like, they're not selling you sugar, and they're not selling you soap and other things. The whole point saying Aaron and his sons means that they need means to live. I mean, come on, A priest, right, a Kohen has to live. What's he going to eat? You go out to work and you go and do a job and you get paid for it. Well, what does Aaron and his sons get paid for teaching you? Now, all you're going to give them is around, zero. That's what will circulate. What you will circulate is around zero, and then you'll come back to me and say, "Oh, Rabbi, I can't, I haven't got my job, or I've been unemployed, or I've been doing this and that," and then I'll turn around and say, "Well, what did you circulate?" You say, "I circulated a nice round egg, a zero." Says, "Well, that's it. That's your result." Like that guru in India, asking you $200. And I give him $200 to test out his theory and it didn't work. I'm not asking you to give me $200 to test out my theory, because I don't have a theory. What I have is a principle that I learned from the Torah, that I acquired from the Torah, and my principles work because those principles have been proven. And I gave a little testimony privately to a student of mine, because I'm not going to give it publicly. This is not material that I like to put out in public. And, it was like, her mouth was aghast, what I told her. So, the principles that I've tried, and I told her that they have all worked. Every one of them has worked. And so I'm passing those principles, those tools, those techniques to you. And I may not have passed everything to you publicly, and that's true. I have not passed you publicly everything, and I will not do that. Why? Because there are certain other students that are much closer to me, that, incommunicado with me. And, when I want to test something, I don't want to just give you something just for the heck of it, just because it looks nice. I want to give you something that I have proven that works in my life. And if it works in my life, then I can give it to you and say, "Could you please test this out in your life and give me results?" And then you'll be able to say, "Yes, I'll test it, and I'll let you know, Rabbi, or HaKohen, I'll let you know if it works for me or not." Because, I don't want to be biased, because I'm a Kohen. I could be biased and say, "Well, I'm a Kohen, it works for me." And you might say, "Well, I'm not a Kohen, it didn't work for me." So I don't want to be biased like that. So to me, any technique that works for me should work for you. And let me give you the example of that. I had a testimony from last week from one of our members, family members, and they told me that they had been seeking a laptop, new laptop, and the daughter has been gracious enough to offer that person a laptop, which was less than a year, maybe a year old. And the point was that she got her manifestation, what she asked for. She wanted a laptop. She got almost a brand new laptop. A year. A year is not long. It's easy. It's a short time. So for her, she manifested her desire. Great. On top of that, she told me that she's so happy because, she is receiving food stamps regularly. And on top of that, the government, she didn't tell me what affirmation she was using, but she told me that she was receiving energy assistance for her electric bill, and she also received a $600 crisis benefit to be applied to her account towards her, I believe, electric bill. And she said that she now doesn't have to pay the electric bill for the whole year. She's absolutely ecstatic. But on the other hand, let me give you the other hand as well. See, this is my student, right? It's family. And then on the other hand, I was hearing a story about a woman on the internet, probably in Texas, maybe somewhere, and she was complaining. She was complaining that her bill had gone, I don't know how many folds up, and she received a huge bill. And Rabbi Kefa might know this story, because it probably appeared in papers and on the internet in Texas side. So this happened in Texas side. So I'm giving you a scenario of two people. One is under me and one is not under me, right? One I've given the application of the perfect law of the Torah, one I haven't. Well, the one who applied the perfect law, she is, laughing all the way to the bank, smiling, from end to end. No bill to pay for the rest of the year. Whereas the other person is crying that, how's she going to pay that huge big bill? So this is the difference between the Kohen's instructions. So when I tell you as a Kohen that, hey, you are looking at a benefit for the rest of your life in different ways, and I mean it. Because it talks about giving the pure oil of pressed olives from the light, which is produced, oil pressed from olives is produced by labor, hard labor. You have to work on it. Have you ever seen olives in your life? I've seen them. They look so dry, like I'm thinking, how difficult would it be to press these things, these olives, and bring oil out of these? They look so small, green olives and black olives, and yet oil was produced from these to burn in the lamps in the temple. So really, what is pure olive oil? It's symbolic here, symbolic in the sense that it is symbolic for what you do, your jobs, your businesses, money that you earn from there. That is what you're tithing. That's what you're giving for Zadaqah. So I was telling this person that, and another testimony that came to me, this person was telling me, another student of mine was telling me that they wrote the number 58 on a pain point. They were having pain on their leg and a little bit swelling. So what they did, they wrote the number 58, and instantly they felt the relief started to come. The pain started to slow down, started to stop. And they're like, my goodness, this is like magic. It's like instant. So I told her, I said, this magic is Torah magic. Yes, it is magic, but it's Torah magic. So I gave her another magic, Torah magic. I told her what she needs to do is enclose this with an alif and a tav. So you take the 58, and Hebrew is written from right to left, like the Arabic language, the Eastern languages, and the Persian language. So what you do is you write the alif. You can find the alif on the internet, how it's written, split like an A. And you can find the Ta, which is a bit like an upside down U. So you write those before and after, and in the middle you encapsulate with 58 on your pain area. Then that will bring your pain to a permanent end. So the point of that is you want to bring your suffering, down. You want to end your suffering. You don't want to continue with it. So you want to end your suffering. And the 58, you can write it with a marker. You can write it with a green marker or a red marker. And if you don't have neither of the two, a blue marker, neither of the three, then all you have is a black marker. Then you write it with black. So, these are the different colors that you can use. Preferably, I would prefer to write it with a red marker, preferably, or pink, blue are the other colors. But then if you find that you only have a Sharpie and it's black, well, then you have to use a Sharpie and black and put it on your pain point. And away you go. And feel the magic. Receive the magic. So that's the other thing that I was going to tell you. And then the next thing that I was looking at was the affirmations. Power affirmations. Now, the other thing that I want to tell you about is the affirmations, your weak affirmations. So what is a weak affirmation? What is a strong affirmation? What's a power affirmation? These are different types of affirmations. Or let's just go for a general. What's a bad affirmation? What's a good affirmation? Now, you might say, and I want to give you an example of this. And I want to thank, the powers that are above me. Of course, the powers above me, the ones who placed me in England. I want to thank the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the one who placed me in England for a period of my life. Because, I learned, I did my education in England. I did my education partly in the East and the rest in England. And that did help me a lot to get proper grammar. And when I went to America, of course, I learned that in America, you spell color as C-O-L-O-R and not as C-O-L-O-U-R. And of course, a lot of the grammar in America is totally different. Check, C-H-E-C-K instead of C-H-E-Q-U-E. And then, that wasn't so much the problem as to the easier spelling of check versus C-H-E-C-K to C-H-E-Q-U-E. I think the thing that I learned was that the British grammar is correct, is more correct, more accurate. Whereas the American grammar in many places is not what it should be. And I'm not talking about spellings. I'm talking about the actual grammar, the wording. So So to give you an example now about grammar and usage and definiteness and not definiteness of purpose of use. So for instance, because I guess, I was kind of using the Oxford Dictionary, but now you have lots of different dictionaries online. You have the Merriam-Webster Dictionary you can check at, and other dictionaries online. So I was looking at the word rich and wealth, and I found that if you use the term I am rich, this is like a simple affirmation. People might have written it. It says, I am rich. I personally would say to you that's a weak affirmation. Or even just saying, I am wealth. It may seem like a simple affirmation, and teachers in the past have talked about it as being okay to use, and they prefer to use these, I am wealth, I am rich, or I'm riches. I have realized that that is not the case. My experimentation, because like I told you, I've experimented with these things, in anger, and with many students as well. Some students as my guinea pigs, if you want to call it, they've been testing it as well, and we haven't found the results that we expect, because again, definite grammar usage is important. So if you said, I am rich, well, what does it mean? Were you rich yesterday? Are you rich today? What is the level of your richness? I mean, how much money do you have in the bank? What cars do you drive? What houses do you live in? That word, I am rich, doesn't to me connote anything. It doesn't tell me nothing. If you came to me and said to me, Rabbi, I'm rich, and I'll say, okay, but I don't know what your level of rich is. I don't know what you mean by that. I don't know if you have a Mercedes that you drive, or whether you drive a Ford truck, or whether you drive a tractor. Because somebody in Turkey might be driving a tractor, or somebody in Pakistan might be driving a tractor, and they might say, I'm rich, because everybody can't afford a tractor over here, right? So I don't know your level of richness. So it's not a definite good statement to make, just I'm rich. So, but if you said to me, I am wealth, okay, now I'm kind of beginning to get a bit more feel of it, because the word of wealth has different connotations attached to it. And the word of wealth, and I was checking it in the Merriam-Webster dictionary, and the word of wealth, it said, abundance of valuable material possessions or resources. Now, of course, it could be a tractor. A tractor is a wonderful resource to have. You can plow your field. You could have I don't know, other things you could own a farm. But anyhow, joking beside, having a abundance, the word for wealth, having the word wealth does connote a bit more than just rich. If you said I'm wealthy, then it does connote a bit more than rich. But again, my question would be, well, were you wealthy yesterday? Or are you wealthy today only? Or will you be wealthy tomorrow? Because you don't know, right? Because you don't know you'll be wealthy tomorrow. You might say, I'm wealth or I'm wealthy. And yes, meaning that you have wealth in the past. We don't know when you started becoming wealthy. We don't know if you were a poor kid 10 years ago. You came off the street, you started a business, and now you're, Mr. Bill Gates. We don't know that. Or that, you lost all your wealth, and tomorrow you lost all your wealth because of coronavirus pandemic, and then you're about to commit suicide on the bridge, and I'm speaking to you standing there, this is kind of like just a summary and like a scenario. I'm standing there, you're standing on the bridge, and I'm saying, why are you going to jump? Why are you going to take your life? And you're going to say, I was wealthy, I had a lot of wealth, and I've lost it all, and now I'm going to kill myself because, I've got nothing to live for. So basically, all your life, everything was depending on the wealth factor. So to me, right, see what I mean? My point is this, that just saying I am wealthy is not enough. It's a weak affirmation. So you might think, well, goodness, weak affirmation? Yes, it is a weak affirmation. By saying, I am rich, or I'm riches, I've learned through experience. It's a weak affirmation. Why? Because like me giving you the example of that person on the bridge who's going to jump off the bridge because he said, yesterday I was rich, or yesterday I had the wealth, then we had the stock market crash, or then we had the pandemic, and I lost my business. Now I'm about to kill myself because my wealth is gone. In other words, his statement, I am wealth, is no longer true. So how do we maintain the wealth? Because surely, if this person had been taught through a wise teacher, if he had good mentors and he had taught him, then he would have been able to manage his wealth better and not be, standing on a bridge and just about to jump into the, Hudson River and saying, I'll kill myself because that's it, I've had it. I can't pay all these loans now. So the point is that instead of just saying I am wealth, it is better to say I am definitely wealthy continuously. So let me say that again. I am definitely wealthy continuously. Means that your wealth will never leave you. You're always wealthy. Past, present, future. Okay? Now, let me tie that back to an example. I meet a friend. Let's call him Joe. And Joe says to me, Simon, I'm going to the gym tomorrow, and will I see you there at the gym tomorrow at 7 o'clock? And I say to him, well, Joe, I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll be there. Maybe I won't be there. I can't be certain. I'm not sure. Now, I use that word certain. I'll come back to the word certain as well. But I can't be sure. I'm not certain. And then Joe turns around and says to me, no, Simon, you got to give me a certain, definite answer. Are you going to be there or not? I said, okay, Joe, I will definitely be at the gym tomorrow, 7 o'clock. Now Joe is confident that I'm not using maybe. I'm not saying maybe I'll be there, maybe I'll not be there. I'm not certain. Now I've told him, no, Joe, I will definitely be at the gym tomorrow at 7 p.m. So Joe is now confident that I, Simon, I'm going to be at the gym at 7 o'clock no matter what comes in my path. I've now decided it. I've decided my action for tomorrow, and it is tomorrow 7 o'clock, I'm in the gym with Joe. And Joe's happy, okay, I'm going to have company with Simon, we're going to train together. So this is my point with the word certain and the word definite. These are the two words that you need to use. I have found so far, because remember I told you the why affirmations. I would now ask you to remove the why affirmations in favor of definite affirmations. So instead of saying, why am I wealthy? You should be saying, I am definitely wealthy continuously, or I am certainly wealthy continuously. So when I speak about a neighbor, let's give an example that I'm in America and, I'm standing in Pensacola, Florida, or Ohio for that matter. Let's just say I'm in Ohio. I'm in Ohio, and I'm standing there, and we have a neighbor called, let's call him, Jane. So we have a neighbor called Jane, and Jane has a Lexus car parked in her driveway. So I look at her Lexus car, and I observe that she has a nice, beautiful Lexus car. So I say I'm on a conversation with a friend on a telephone, and I say to my friend on the telephone, I say, Jane over there has a Lexus. Now, I could just say in passing that Jane over there has a Lexus. A very simple statement, just in passing. Now, it may not sound so powerful just to say that Jane has a Lexus. Or I could say, my neighbor Jane has a Lexus. Again, you might hear it on the phone, you might be, okay, it's okay, Jane, you don't know who Jane is, and you might say, okay, Jane has a Lexus, and you know what a Lexus looks like, so you kind of picture a Lexus in your mind parked over there somewhere. But what if I made the statement, you may not take that statement so dramatically, but what if I made the statement, and I was speaking to you, and your name was, let's say your name was, let's call you David, Your name was David, and I was speaking to David on the phone, and I said, "Hey, David, listen." And he said, "What? What happened, Simon? What are you going to tell me?" You're all excited to hear what I'm going to say. "Hey, David, listen. You see that Jane over there?" "Yes, I remember that Jane over there. That neighbor of yours, yeah. Oh, she definitely has a Lexus." You're like, "Wow, she has a Lexus, yeah." "David, Jane over there definitely has a Lexus." You're like, "Wow, she has a Lexus." So see how the statement changes, how the mood changes, how the atmosphere changes. So instead of me just make a mundane statement and saying, "Oh, Jane over there has a Lexus," it's a very kind of rudimentary statement. Hardly any excitement about it. It's like she's having a tractor parked in her driveway, not Lexus. Now when I say to my friend in excitement that, "Hey, she definitely has a Lexus," because maybe I haven't seen a Lexus before, or maybe it's my first time, or it could be a Tesla. I could say to my friend, "Hey, David, she has a Lexus in her driveway. She definitely has a Lexus in her driveway." And my friend takes notice and says, "Wow, she has a Lexus in her driveway," or "She has a Tesla in her driveway." I said, "Yeah, it's a blooming Tesla." It's like there's a London accent now. "Yeah, she blooming has a Tesla." So like that blooming lady has a Tesla. Like that. That's kind of like London talk now. So they talk like that. Cockney London. So you might say it in that word. So my point is, go through each one of your statement. Check out every one of your statement and make sure that you put the word certain or certainly or certainty and the word definitely. Make that part of your statements to power up those statements. And of course, with the illness side, I wanted to bring this point right home to you. And this will probably go in my next book as well, or maybe it'll go in the present book. I have to make some adjustments and corrections, or I'll probably just decide to write another book and just put it in there. And the statement is this, that I was looking through this, that what about when you get ill? What when you get ill, and how do you deal with it? When you get illness, and because you might say, because remember we spoke about the statement that perfect health. We said you could write the statement that you're in perfect health, right? But I realized that statement's not enough. By just saying I'm perfect health, I realized, well, what do I mean by perfect health? Okay, I was in perfect health yesterday. I am in perfect health today. What about tomorrow? What if an infection comes down on me tomorrow? Then can I say that I'm in perfect health? Well, of course, I could still continue to say it to get rid of the infection, but I realize that wording is not enough. It's actually, believe it or not, it's a weak statement. Some people may not agree with me, but I'm telling you, in practice, it's a weak statement. I am perfect health, or I am health. I am health and I am perfect health. Similarly, are weaker statements. They're not power charged. So what's the power charged statement that you're going to be not only in health, but continue to be in health? Well, let me give you the one that's going to give you that. I am certainly in perfect health, continuously, always. Let me repeat it. I am certainly in perfect health, continuously, always. Now, do you see the difference? Before, all we said was, I am health. All we said, I am perfect health. But now when we change it to, I am certainly in perfect health, continuously, always, what am I doing now? I'm making it a definite statement. Or you could say, I am definitely in perfect health, continuously, always. I am definitely in perfect health, continuously, always. So you suddenly changed you suddenly made your affirmation very powerful. It's no longer the mundane, I am perfect health affirmation. It's become more powerful affirmation. The other thing I would encourage you to do, is about a lottery jackpot win. How to write it. And the way you write it is you put it in the past tense. Because remember, the Torah, and remember the Hebrew, a lot of the times puts words into the past tense, not into the present and not into the future. All prophecies or prophetic statements in the Torah or in the Bible are written in past participle. They're written with a va or a vav. They're written with that, meaning that it's a past event, past fulfilled event. So, how do I word it? I tell you, this information is just, I tell you, it's just amazing. I was just sitting here yesterday by myself, and I started to think through these statements. I was like, no, this is not right. I've got to change the wording here. I've got to make the wording more powerful. And I started to rewrite the word. So, for those of you who want to test it out, because some of you may not change your statements and may be happy with them. Others of you may be happy to change them to try the new techniques. So the way you write your lotto jackpot win is you write it in the past tense. So instead of saying, I am a jackpot winner of some amount, you say, I was a lotto jackpot winner of some amount. So this is the way I would word it. I was a lotto jackpot winner of $50 million. Isn't it wonderful? Or I was a lotto jackpot winner of $100 million. Isn't it wonderful? Now, why put it in the past tense? The reason for that is very simple, is because the past tense means it's fulfilled already. It's not yet to be fulfilled. It's already done. You already passed that point. You're not saying, oh, I'm going to be in the future. You already, done it. So with the information that you convey to yourself and to your operant power, remember I use the word your operant power, which is above you, which is the powers above us, the universe is above us, you pass the word to them that you already have it. So then it's their job to bring it into your life. So with that, I'm gonna maybe give you a small, excerpt of John 8:58. Now, John 8:58. Let me just open up the Bible, and maybe I can find that word. I can find that that particular word there, John 8:58. And I wanted to give you two things from Jesus of Nazareth's wordings. I thought it was interesting the way he phrased them. Let's see, John, where are you? John 8, and scroll down, 8:58. It says, this is from the King James Version of the Bible, and I think it says, Jesus said unto them, verily, verily, I say unto you, before Abraham was, I am. Now, by the way, the word imi in the Greek, which is a G1510, the word imi can also be was. It doesn't have to be I am. It could be, verily, verily, Jesus said unto them, verily, verily, I say unto you, before Abraham was, I was. Okay? I was can equally be used over there. Equally, grammatically would be correct. I am or I was. What's my point? My point is this, that even Yeshua of Nazareth, Jesus of Nazareth, even he used that statement to put it in the present tense and past tense. Put it in the past tense. Of course, the translators, or some of the other translators before us, they translated that to I am. But it doesn't have to be. It could be I was. That's actually a more accurate translation of that word. So interesting, isn't it? And I want to give you another one of Jesus' statements. So I want to give you something that you can, understand. And let's open up the scriptures for you a little bit here. There was an incident with Jesus of Nazareth in the Bible, the New Testament. In the book of Mark, we read that Jesus was going around, with the crowd, and he basically felt somebody touching him. So it says in Mark chapters 5:24, so Jesus went with him. A large crowd followed and pressed around him, and a woman was there who had been subject to bleeding for 12 years. She had suffered a great deal under the care of many doctors and had spent all she had, yet instead of getting better, she grew worse. When she heard about Jesus, she came up behind him in the crowd and touched his cloak. Now, this is, of course, bad translation. She didn't touch his cloak. She actually hung on to his zitzits, and you'll find that translation in the Abrahamic-Faith Bible. If I pull it up, the Abrahamic-Faith Bible, and then I can, we can compare the two. We can read the two. We can go to the book of Mark. Where are we? Let's see. Okay, let me find the book of Mark now, over here. Book of Mark, Mark 5. Mark 5. Mark 5. I'm totally the wrong side. Mark Moshe 5 and verses 24. And a certain woman who had an illness of irregular menstrual flow of blood of 12 years, and she had endured many things of many doctors. You see how the translation varies now? Totally different. And spent all that she had, and was no better, but rather grew worse. When she had heard of Yehoshua, she came in the crowd behind him and touched his zitzits. See, that's the problem. The problem is the Bibles, they hide these things from you, and you don't know what's going on. For she said, so let's see what she said. It says, for she said, if I may touch his zitzits, I shall be cured. And straightway the flow of her menstrual blood was dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed of that illness. And Yehoshua, immediately knowing in himself that power had gone out of him, turned around in the crowd and said, who touched my clothes? See, this is very interesting. This tells us a number of things. That in the old days, we did not wear zitzits as a separate undergarment. Like today, we have this little undergarment that we wear the zitzits on. Because, we don't wear square clothes anymore. We don't wear square clothes with four corners. So, in the old days, they wore clothes and the zitzit was stitched into the garment. And so it says, Yehoshua says that somebody touched my clothes, meaning that's part of the garment. The zitzit was already in there. And it says, and his disciples said to him, you see the large crowd pressing you, and yet you ask, who touched me? And he looked around about to see her that had done this thing. But the woman, fearing and trembling, knowing what that was done in her, came and fell down before him and told him all the truth. Why was she afraid? Because she was in period, she was in menstrual blood, and she wasn't allowed to go and touch anybody. You see, because it will make the other person temporarily unclean for the day until the evening. And if a person wanted to go to the temple, then he wasn't allowed to go to the temple that day. So that's why she was afraid and didn't want for him to know, and didn't want publicly to touch him. But then she said to him, and then he said to her, he said, she told him all the truth, meaning she was unclean, and it was considered a very bad act for her to touch a pious Hebrew man who was ritually pure, because Jesus here was ritually pure. Okay? So she told him the truth, said, I'm unclean, Master, or Rabbi, I'm unclean, and I'm sorry I touched you because I knew that I would get healing from you. And he said to her, daughter, your faith has cured you. Go in shalom, go in peace, and be cured of your disease. So the New King James puts it, it says that, what does it say? Daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace and be freed from your suffering. Okay, so what does it actually mean, your faith has cured you? Well, how come her faith didn't cure her before? How come that before her faith didn't cure her and she wasn't able to just go home and relax and, be at peace with her family? Because Clearly, you know what that means? Well, let me tell you what that means. A woman who's having periods, menstrual blood for 12 years, she can't have any sexual relations with her husband. She can't have children. And she's going to have all sorts of societal problems. Women are going to be laughing at her and making fun of her, and some might be, pitiful for her, need, for her disease, and wanting to tell her, where to go for a cure, and she'll be going from one doctor to the next. So this woman really had a bad life, difficult life. Either people talking about her, that why her blood doesn't stop, or either saying that she don't have kids and children, she can't because she's in that situation, or either, some other women coming and advising her to go to this doctor and that doctor, and somebody must have told her to go to Jesus of Nazareth. He is a pious rabbi, pious teacher, and he is doing great, wonderful miracles. Go to him. He will cure you. Just touch his cloth. So they told her that. And so she goes along and she does exactly that. And so Jesus says, your faith has healed you. What? Meaning what? Meaning she was already visualizing. She was already visualizing, imagining that she's touching Jesus' cloth, his cloak, and she's already well, and she's feeling it. She's feeling it. Hey, I'm already healed. Hey, I've got no more blood. So remember what I said last week. Faith means to feel, to be excited about something you already have. So she was excited about the fact that she would already be healed. She's already healed. So she kept practicing it until the day she hears this rabbi is in town, he's in such and such street. So she runs over and touches him. Boom. And her faith has healed her. Meaning that her feeling, feeling of knowing that she has no longer got bleeding coming. She doesn't have to go and change her tampons. There were no tampons in those days. I guess people just use cloth. But having said that is faith. Faith doesn't mean, I sit there and believe and God's going to send me a goat from above and it's going to drop into my backyard. No. Faith is about feeling. The feeling of being healed. Feeling that you no longer have blood flowing. Feeling that you don't have to go change your tampon every 6 hours or whatever it is. So, having said that, then the next miracle comes, and the next miracle is where it says, while he yet spoke, there came from ruler of Brit. I'll read it to you a little bit in the English. There came from the ruler of the Brit. Now that means the synagogue's ruler of the synagogue came to him. Now that would be in Mark chapter 5. Let's pull up Mark chapter 5. While Jesus was still speaking, some people came from the house of Jairus, the synagogue leader. Your daughter is dead, they said. Why bother the teacher anymore? Overhearing what they said, Jesus told him, don't be afraid, just believe. Remember that word? Here comes that word again, believe and faith. And it says, he did not let anyone follow him except Peter, James, and John, the brother of James. When they came to the home of the synagogue leader, Jesus saw a commotion with people crying and wailing loudly. He went in and said to them, why all the commotion and wailing? The child is not dead but asleep. But they laughed at him. Now, I want to point something out with this. This is really interesting. You see, when you go to do a miracle like this in somebody's house, this is a dead person. It could be something else. It could be somebody's very ill. It could be that somebody's very poor, something. And you go and you try to help them, what happens? What's the response that you get from people? They laugh at you. Ha 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 ha. What an idiot. Ha 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 ha. What an idiot. Ha 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 ha. He can change this. How can he change this? This is how people laugh at you. You're going to find that in your life, when you're going to try to do good, there are going to be many people laughing at your face. Maybe in front of you, maybe behind you. But you have to ignore these people. You have to put them to one side. And they shall be by your side. And you don't even have to tell them what you're doing. So this is what Jesus did. He left all the other people outside and only his very, close disciples followed him. And it says that
But the people that were present, the other people who were not his disciples, or probably part of the people who came to mourn the death, they were laughing at him. And what does he say? He says he put them out. After he put them all out. So put out people who are laughing in your life. Don't have them as part of your life. Don't think that you have to have them parcel of your life and your successes. If somebody's going to laugh at your success, they should not be part of your life. They should be out of your life and much, much far apart from you. And he says that he took the child's father and mother and the disciples who were with him and went in where the child was. But only went in with the people concerned, the child's father and mother and the disciples, meaning those that trusted him, those that knew he was a great teacher, great rabbi, and he did great miracles. So he only took those people with him. He says he took her by the hand and said to her, Talitha Kumi, which means, little girl, I say to you, get up. Immediately the girl stood up and began to walk around. She was 12 years old. And this, they were completely astonished. He gave strict orders not to let anyone know about this and told them to give her something to eat. Now, let's look at my translation, Abrahamic-Faith one. And it says, as soon as Yehoshua heard the word that was spoken, he said to the ruler of the Kahal, be not afraid, only believe. And he permitted no man to follow him except Kefa and Yaakov and Yohanan, the brother of Yaakov. And he came to the base of the ruler of the Kahal and seeing the noise and those that wept and wailed greatly. When he had come in, he said to them, why are you distressed and weep? The little child is not dead, but sleeps. And they laughed him to scorn. You see, they didn't just laugh, because your other Bible tells you they just laughed. No, it says they laughed him to scorn. They scorned him. They said, what the hell is this man doing? Is he an idiot? Is he stupid? Doesn't she that she is dead? See, this is how people talk. But you got to pay no attention to such people. If you're 70 years old, if you're 80 years old, and you say, I'm going to be a millionaire, if you say that, they'll start laughing at you. What are you talking about? You're already 80 years old. What do you mean you're going to be a millionaire? You already passed it. You can't have $1 million any longer. See, people talk like that. But you cannot allow them to put you down, because yes, you can be a millionaire even at 80. You can be a billionaire at 80. So it's no big deal. It's not like it's the end of the world. You only started your journey. And your journey is a great journey. So you should never fear. Never worry what people say around you. And never let them put you down. Because, they scorned him. And then he said, but when he had put them all out, he says, just get lost. Get away from here, idiots. So Jesus put them all out. Because he said, these people are a waste of time anyway. They're not here to help you. They're only here they claim to be grieving for the grieving the loss of the person, the leader of the synagogue, but they're not really even grieving his loss. They're actually scorning somebody else who's trying to help them. So he got rid of them very quickly. That's what we need to do with people who don't, who are not part of our happiness. People who are not part of our happy circles, get rid of them. Don't have them part of your life. Don't invite them to your parties. Don't invite them to your homes. Don't say, please come and, we're going to have a birthday, come and join us. They should never be part of your families or part of your joyous occasions. So, but when he put them all out, he took the Abba and the the mother of the young girl, and them that were with him, and entered in where the young girl was lying. And he took the young girl by the hand and said to her, Talitha Kumi, which is being interpreted, little child, I say to you, arise. Wow, what a statement. Arise from the dead, basically. And straightway the little child arose and walked, for she was of the age of 12 years. And they were astonished with a great astonishment. And he commanded them strictly that no man should know it, and commanded that something should be given her to eat. Now, remember, when he did the miracle, he did not say to them, now go tell everybody. Now go tell those scorners. that they were trying to laugh at me, and I tell them that this is what happened. He just simply told them, don't tell anybody. What does that mean to us? It means that when you're successful, when you're trying to be successful in your life, when you want to be that millionaire, when you want to be that billionaire or billionaires, you don't go around telling everybody, hey, I've become a billionaire. Hey, I won that $50 million lottery jackpot. It means don't tell people. Keep it to yourself and keep it to your loved ones only. Only the few people that love you, only the few people that are happy for you, that are joyous for you. Don't tell everybody. That's what it means. It means that the information that you're given to be successful, only give it to the people who will be happy with your success. Don't just dish it around like, candy. It's not candy. It's for you and for you to be successful. So therefore, it's very important for you to understand that these might sound like little things. They might sound like little things. And you might think that, these are little tools, small tools. But I'm telling you that I'm giving you powerful information over here. Powerful, so powerful that, my goodness, you can change your lives. I had a testimony, third testimony of somebody I know from the US, and she wrote to me and said to me that I was only asking money to pay my bill, $400 or something. And, because she had a limiting belief. She had a limiting belief that all she needs is $400. And then she's like, I don't know how it's going to come. But she continued to believe it, continued to experience it. You know what I mean by the word believe? Feeling it, continued to feel that she has a $400 in her hand and she's paid off her bills. And then she said that first she obviously had problems with disbelief that she had to deal with, like scorners, maybe people around her, said, what are you talking about? Where are you going to get $400? And then suddenly the Social Security check came in at $400 a week. Wow. Boom. Her money's met and she got her $400 to pay her bill. And not just one time, she's going to get it every week, $400. So what's my point? My point is this. Don't limit yourself. Don't just say, just give me $400. Just $400. No. Leave the net wide open. Leave it wide open. If you've got bills to pay, things to do, groceries to buy, you don't limit yourself by saying, I only need $10 for groceries. You don't say that. That's the wrong affirmation. So your affirmation should not be just, I want to pay my, bills, I need $400. Your affirmation should be much broader. And I think I wrote to her, and I'll probably have to look at my mail. That's exactly what I said. But what I did say to her is, this is what you need to say. And I want you to write it down, all of you. I am open and receptive to receiving money, wealth, and prosperity continuously. And I worded it slightly longer for her, but she doesn't need it that long. Because I really looked at this statement and I said, we can word it short. We don't have to word it so many words. It can be, I am definitely open and receptive to receiving money, wealth, and prosperity from any source, continuously or always. I am definitely open and receptive to receiving money, wealth, and prosperity continuously, even just that. That will do it. So, in fact, I need to maybe write this down, or better wording. I am definitely receiving money, wealth, and prosperity continuously. I am definitely receiving money, wealth, and prosperity continuously. Okay, so that is the statement. I've shortened the statement because before I had lengthened the statement a little bit, and I realized that it's probably a little bit long, and it don't need to be that long. And because the way I worded it before was like this,
let me see. I said, I am open and receptive to receiving money, wealth, and prosperity from expected and unexpected sources always. Slightly long statement. Better worded statement. I am definitely receiving money, wealth, and prosperity continuously. Means that it's not a one-time event. It's not a one-time event. You're not making it a one-time. You're not just saying one time, oh, I received it one time and I'm happy. No. You're making it an always event. It could happen today. It could happen 3 days from now. It could happen in a week. So it could continue to happen over and over and over. That's why I put the word continuously. So these are what I call power affirmations. I've been kind of sitting over here thinking about it and redesigning my affirmations so that they can help the people better. They can help our families better. So by all means, if you want to share these with your families, you're more than welcome to do so. Absolutely no problem with that. If there are families that love you, if there are families that care for your happiness and they are for you, then yes. But if they are scorners, then don't do that. But if there are people who will be happy with your successes, then certainly do that. So I wish you all happiness during the Shabbat. I wish you all successes. Your teacher, your host, remember, as I said earlier, put your tithes out properly, put your zadaqah, your charitable offerings properly. Don't steal from God. Because if you continue to steal from God, God will not give you your benefit, your blessing. You will only be killing your blessing. And I say that in a good way. I say that with a sincere heart, that you understand that if you don't circulate the energy of money, you will not be able to receive it back either. It's, this is just the bottom line. So do it with a sincere heart. And when you do it sincerely, then, the powers that are above us, the powers of Israel, the plurality, the multiple powers that we serve, the Elohim, they will help you. Now, I was going to close the lecture, but I just remembered something. And I thought I need to speak about that as well. And that is the verse. Hold on a second. A good thing I just remembered. I totally missed that one. And I wanted to speak about that. Now, that is the word, wow. That's going to put me another 15 minutes of lecture. Okay. So I want you to do 3 things. Or 2 things. It might turn out to be 3. So I want you to write the number 613-888-1010 on the left side of your body, the left side of your arm, the left side of your leg. So number 613-888-1010. Now what does it mean? These are power words, by the way. 613 is a 613 commandments that we get from the Torah. The 888 is the abundance. And plus, it is the new beginning of you. We're not talking about some millennium in the future where, you don't know you're going to be alive or dead. I'm talking about right now over here in this world. This is the beginning of you, your new beginning. So, beginning with wealth and abundance. And what is the 1010? The 1010, the 10 is the attributes, 10 attributes of the God of Israel, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And what's the other 10? Well, ask yourself, what's the other 10? What's the other significant 10? The 10 tribes of Israel, right? Or the 10 most important angels. Many things end up in 10. So 1010 is a power word. They're power words. These are power words. You write them on the left arm, on top of each other, and write them with a red marker or a pink marker. And if you can't find those 2, then you can put it with blue. And if you can't find blue, then you put it with black or green. I prefer the pink marker because it shows up nicely on my skin. Some of you may find red, comes out nicely on your skin. If you've got a pale skin, pale white, then red will come out fine. If you've got brown skin, dark brown, then you may find another color may come out better. So, on the left side of your body, these words represent wealth and prosperity into your life. You'll write them with a marker, and they'll probably rub off after a couple of days, and you just rewrite it. Okay? So, coming back to Jesus' words I wanted to speak about. Can I leave it till next week?
Yeah, I'll leave it till next week, because otherwise it'll take another half an hour to explain it. So, but remind me, I want to speak about the words where Jesus said, ye are gods, John 10:34. I want to speak about those, but please remind me next week, and we'll work our lecture from there. So I'll leave you with happiness and joy and love, and be happy with your families, be safe from COVID-19. And I did have reports of COVID-19 vaccines that, some of those vaccines can cause, or allegedly, because, nothing is definite yet. There's a lot of allegedness in this, because I don't have no scientific proof to say this is the case. Neither do the people that make the claims. So, I don't chase after claims, but what they claim, allegedly, it will cause you sterilization. You become sterile. And, to me, if you're 60 years old and you're vulnerable, who cares if you're going to become sterile? If that vaccine can protect you, great. But then the other claim that was made, whether the vaccines have small particles of aluminium, or how you guys call it aluminum, and we call it aluminium. So the aluminum can go into your brains, and of course, as you know, it can cause Alzheimer's. But I would suggest, like I said always, that if they force you to take the vaccines, or if you have to take it because you're vulnerable, and I would say yes, you should take it if you're vulnerable. From me, the answer is yes, you should take it if you're vulnerable. I don't care what anybody tells you otherwise. If you're vulnerable and you are, with conditions, then you should take it. And when you do take it, the way you mitigate this aluminium business in the vaccine, and of course, as I said, if you're 60 years old, do you really care about producing offspring? Are you going to produce children at 60? Well, unless you're Sarah and you're 90 years old and you're going to produce a baby, then of course you might decide not to take it. But if you're not Sarah and you're not trying to have a baby at 90, then, I would suggest that you take carbon C60, because carbon C60 can alleviate and can remediate the effects of aluminium. So I'll leave you with that. Don't just take things for granted, where people say this and people say that. There's a lot of BS on the internet, a lot of videos on the internet, blah, 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 and blah, 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 and a lot of it is just total BS. So unless you have evidence, and when I say evidence, I'm not talking about because some man out there in Texas said, hey, the civilization is going to end. Let's all hide. Let's all go to the woods. You think I want to go to the woods? You think I'm stupid or something? No, I'm not going to go to the woods. I want evidence. Have you got evidence of civilization collapse? Okay. Then I'll see the evidence. But then I'll decide it based on the evidence. But if the evidence is not there, see, a lot of these claims that we hear, these are claims are made on the internet. But is there evidence? And the answer is no. There's not a shred of evidence that the vaccines can cause sterility or the vaccines can cause brain damage. But there is evidence that some people who took the vaccine, they were vulnerable because they had preconditions. And so some people suffered ill effects from the vaccine because of preconditions. Now, I'm not a spokesman for the drug companies over here. I'm not a spokesman for Pfizer or for, Moderna or Johnson & Johnson, and they're not going to give me a commission to sell their vaccines. So I'm just simply saying this, hey, be sensible, okay, for yourself. Decide for yourself. I'm not going to just tell you plainly no, because you could die from coronavirus. That would be pathetic, and that would be absolutely stupid and irresponsible for me to tell you no. This is why I'm saying to you that judge your condition, see that if your condition is such that you do need it, because maybe you're a vulnerable individual, maybe you have preconditions, and you got to look at that for yourself to decide the vaccine. I will definitely say, for me, 100% I'm going to take the vaccine, 100%. And it's because I travel. And because I travel, I will have to take it. They're gonna probably say to me, if you don't take the vaccine, you can't enter the plane. So there you have it. My answer is already yes. I don't care for whatever they tell you. Because look, no two people are the same. No two people are the same. So you can't say what happened to man A will happen to man B. So we need to come out of this fear factor. There's a lot of bullshit on this internet today with, lies
and lies and more lies. So please don't fall into the lies camp. Try to assess the situation for yourself, because I can't tell you what you do for yourself with the vaccine. But I can simply tell you this, that if you have a vulnerability to coronavirus, then please, look out for yourself.
Okay, so with that, I'm going to say that as I told you earlier initially, that my auntie that died over here last week, before we thought, oh, maybe she died from coronavirus, but it turns out that she was corona negative with 2 tests, and she had actually died from asthmatic attack, and she didn't have sufficient medication, because, asthma is a very common disease in England and in America, and, you just carry an inhaler. And, of course, she didn't have an inhaler. I guess, by the time they took her to the hospital, she was giving very strong drugs, and those strong drugs, she reacted on those. And you know what killed her? Well, here's the kicker. She did not die from the asthma. What she died was from that very strong side effects of the medication she received. Because this happened 3 times. She went to the hospital. In the evening, she felt better, and she came back, and she started to take the drugs the hospital gave her, and straight away at midnight, boom, she has a problem. And they take her back to the hospital. And so she's okay in the daytime, and they give her more medication. She comes back in the evening, and she takes that medicine from the hospital, and boom, again, she has an attack. And they take her to the hospital again, second time. And then this happened 3 nights. On the 3rd time, she did not come back alive. And I spoke to my cousin, and I told him off. I said, you should have contacted me. You should have told me that your mother had gone to the hospital, and I would have taken your mother away from there, and I would have treated her myself in my home. I would have treated her right here. I said, this is your fault that you did not inform me. I said, you're telling me after she's dead that she died. I said, what a pity. So why didn't you tell me before? And he said, oh, I'm sorry that we didn't tell you, because, we thought that we might burden you, and, you might have to spend money. I said, it's not about spending money. Your mother is now gone. I could have helped saved her life. So I said, don't do that again. If you have a child, if you have a family member, and they are sick like that, you must tell me. I said, I have the best medicines in the world in my home. I have first-class medicines in my home. I could have treated this person, my auntie would have been alive today. I said, if only you had just phoned me and said, hey, my mom is ill. Can you do something for her? And I said, yes, bring her right over here to me. I can help her. I had excellent medicines in the house. But, he didn't bring her. He didn't even tell me. He told me after they buried her that, oh, my mom died. So it was very sad for me, to seeing that, because she was my last, she was the youngest sister of my father, and my father's the only brother, the only son. So, she was the last of the the 4 sisters. So she is now passed on to the next life. Well, Baruch Hashem Yahweh, may her journey be smooth, and may she return back soon. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. For that, I'm grateful, I'm thankful that, God has given us life, God has given us health. So, I encourage you all to, think for yourselves, and, because there are reports that a lot of people that are taking vaccines, that the coronavirus has reduced as a result of less people getting affected. So there's a lot of that. I mean, of course, you're all adults, you all have intelligence, and you all should examine everything you do. But listen, don't ever live in fear, because what kills people is fear. And you have the power given to you. You have the tools given to you. So why would you be fearful of a little, vaccine? They can give me 2 if they like, and I'll take 2. Honestly, I'll take 2 in my arm, and I'll prove it to you that fear kills. Vaccines don't kill, but fear will kill you. So if you are vulnerable, if you have conditions, then it is your duty to tell your doctor that you have such and such vulnerabilities, so they can take precautions for that.
Oh, absolutely, Rabbi Kefa. Rabbi Kefa saying that the side effects are the worse than the sickness, and he said black seed oil is awesome for breathing issues. Absolutely. Problem is this, that we live in a society today where we have this media that's blaring at us all the time, and what happens is we are living in this fear circle. So the fear, and then you got all these people that are making videos on top, and a lot of these videos are very inaccurate. So I would encourage you to check your accuracy, check who you listen to. Because if whoever you listen to is giving you the false information, inaccurate information, your decisions will be wrong and you will suffer as a result, or maybe your family members will suffer. So with that, thank you for listening. This lecture kind of became a little long. I was going to include another bit, but I'm not going to include it now. I'm going to pass it to Rabbi Kefa, and all of you have a very happy Purim today. Our Purim is ended, because it's nighttime over here. It's almost 10 o'clock in the evening. So, Rabbi Kefa, over to you. Tada, Shabbat Shalom, Shalom Shalom.
To Rabbi considerations for your family. I think just relative to the mother's side, I think you saying it was one of the last ones on your mother's side. Wow, that's commiserations. And you know what? Yeah, she's chock-a-block and queued up for another round. I'm pretty sure she did great things in her journey in this life, and so we all need to look forward to that going forward, and what we're going to do going forward and learn from this situation. It's better to report, and it's better to communicate than non-communication, because non-communication does many things on many different levels. But Wayne is absolutely right about this fear factor. I work in the hospital scene, have done for going on 30 plus years now in the hospital scene, and I tell you, most people are just afraid of the hospital in general. So you mention hospital, they get afraid. So it's just you have to deal with that fear factor. And I tell you what, I'm gonna throw a lot of F words out here, but if you're in fear, then where's your faith? And then if you're in fear, then how can you fear? What it does is it fights against your feelings, and it actually gives you the negative side of your feelings, which is all the negativity that cannot promote growth in all areas, in all aspects of your life: spiritual growth, physical growth. As far as the health side of things, material growth. You cannot get on. It kind of paralyzes. It's like a paralytic factor. When you're in fear, you're vulnerable to attack. You're in fear. Your body cannot fight because it's in fear. So you need to change your feelings and look at it from another perspective. And that's where faith comes in, and even more importantly, that feeling. So you have to excommunicate all of those feelings that are not producing the positive feel factor that you need to be successful in your journey. That's very important. We're all going through a journey. I don't care what religion you're affiliated with, it really doesn't matter. But you need to understand that you're going through a journey. This life is all about a journey, from infancy to the geriatric side of it. We go through stages and phases during this life, because this is a journey. Now, what you do with this journey, that's the big question. And I believe everybody asks that question. And that's the question that everybody asks. I don't care. Humanity is asking that question. It has nothing to do with religion. You know what the number one question is being asked out there by all peoples, all human beings is this. Is what do I do and how do I do it? Think about it. That's the major question that's asked amongst all people. Your friends, your family members, your loved ones, your acquaintances, they're all asking this question to themselves. Is what do I do and how do I do it with this great gift that we've been given called life? And you know what hinges on? The most important factor that hinges on those two questions that I just asked is this. And I quite mentioned at the end of this lecture, who do you live for? You see, because who do you go to get the answers to those questions is going to be, my goodness, it's just gigantic. It's just, you can't put it in words. It's so important. And majority of you in this room listening via Facebook or listening via YouTube, you understand that, when you went to get those answers from certain individuals, sometimes you came up empty-handed, or sometimes you were left in a worse situation than you were even before. And so it's very, very important for us to understand is that, you ask the questions, what do I do and how do I do it? What do I do and how do I do it? The answer to the what and the how do I do to make your life better is paramount. Because that's what we're doing. We're going to make our lives better. Hakohen said something in his lecture that just blew me away amongst all the other things. And I'm going to read something from our parsha that, Tesave. I'm going to read this from our parsha because I think this is important. Exodus chapters 2 and 3. Again, I read from the Abrahamic-Faith Bible, the Hidden Hebraic Scrolls. You don't have this Bible, please add it to your library for your studies. Exodus chapter 28, verse 2. And you shall make holy garments for Aaron, your brother, for glory and for beauty. Baruch Hashem. Look at verse 3. And you shall speak to all those who are gifted artisans, who I have filled with the Ruach, with the spirit of wisdom, that they may make Aaron's garments to consecrate him, that he may minister to me as a Kohen. Well, you just listen to HaKohen's lecture. Number one, I'm going to tell you, HaKohen is a descendant of the sons of Aaron, Baruch Hashem. That's just out right up front. But what I wanted to clue in on was what he said, what was said in verse 28 and verse 3 of Exodus, was that whom I have filled with the Ruach, with the spirit of wisdom. Wisdom is crucial. So when I asked you the questions earlier is, what do I do and how do I do it? If you do not go to the proper sources for wisdom, then you're going to get just the opposite of wisdom. You're going to get deception. That's the opposite of wisdom, is to be deceived. Told information that's going to lead you down a path that's going to give you a bad feeling. Oh, wow. Where can I get that today? How about Facebook? How about YouTube? How about the TV? You see where we're going? I just talked about this. So what's being stifled is the ability for people to be wise. People tell you they're wise, but you look at their lives and you look at the choices and decisions that they make, and you realize you're far from wisdom. Wisdom is very far from you, you see. It's very, very important that we grasp hold of this family so that we can go out, like Akoin said, tell other people. See, this is not a religion. This is a way of life. What you heard in Akoin's lecture is going to help you live your life the way you want to live it. And that's important, Mishpahah, because people have been hoodwinked and bamboozled into thinking that they got to search for God to get the answers to how they need to live their life. And that's actually wrong. When power is in you, well, what do you want to do? Believe me, I'm talking to you from experience in this area. Because I'm out seeking for, I'm out seeking for God's will. And God is sitting there telling me, well, what do you want to do with your life, with this life that I've gifted you? What are you going to do with it? You see? So then I need to begin to ask the questions, what do I do and how do I do it? Not what does God want me to do? What do I do? What do I want to do? And how do I do it? And I couldn't find that within myself. And I couldn't find it with the pastors. Just like Akohin did the testing with the gurus. Great testing, Akohin. And you know what came to my mind when I heard Akohin doing this particular type testing with the, all these gurus out there and these teachers? You know what it brought me back to? It brought to mind Abraham. How many of you did it bring back to your mind Abraham and his testing that he did with his father's statues? Anybody remember that? Anybody remember that in our history? In the history of Abraham and his life? How he did the same thing. He did testing with his father's statues. How did he do his testing? Anybody remember? Anybody remember how he did his testing with the statues? How Abraham did it? How Abram did his testing at the time. With the statues, he used what? Food. And he said, man, these gods got to be hungry. You remember him serving them food? He said, look, y'all need to eat now. I know he's probably being sarcastic, but he's trying to make a point to his father and those that are around him. Is that we doing all these things for these objects that can't move. They can't even eat. Yet we give them a lot of weight and credence when they can't even do anything. And just like our Kohen told you, because we know Abraham is a descendant of where? Well, he comes from where? He comes from India. What you know of as India today, which was a lot bigger even back then, India. The same situation that these same gurus was going to, oh yeah, we need all this money because we got to buy food and stuff for these particular deities, for what? So that HaKohen could come back and get results that, well, what? He didn't get his results manifested. They didn't manifest. So what good was the food money? You know what I mean? So we have to look at all these things and say, oh my goodness, okay, well, what's really working? And family, I know all of you in this room, you're testing things, and you should. In every relationship that you're in, it should be tested so that it can be proven. It's very, very important. You see, because you just don't want to follow things just to follow them. And a lot of folks are doing this, Mishpah, as students of human nature. I know you see it all the time. You probably picturing somebody and imagining somebody right now in your mind that's going through the same scenario of the broken record syndrome. You keep doing the same things over and over, expecting a different result. But you keep doing the same things. That's the problem. You need to change up the same things and start to try something different and start to test something different so that you can better your chances of getting results on how you want them. But that requires you having wisdom, Baruch Hashem. And I call upon wisdom very often in my life. I do. Daily in my life. This is not about a religion of wisdom. This is about just wisdom and having a relationship with wisdom. Because I remember wisdom cried out to me in my closet, in my bathroom closet. Wisdom called out to me and said, my will is my word. So then I realized I had to go back to that Torah of Moses. After getting instruction and guidance from my Kohen. Because one of the first places that I went, and I'm not knocking YouTube. YouTube has its place. But just like with everything else in life, there has to be a balance, a hefty balance. So you're going to get a lot of good on YouTube, but also you're going to get a lot of, just malarkey, just foolish stuff, fear factor stuff that just want to leave you in fear and intrigue you and take you down these rabbit holes that leave you less successful than you were the day before. And that's not where you need to be. But again, maybe that's where you want to be. See, because I begin to think, well, yeah, there are all these things on YouTube that you can get on, but you can choose to get on them. You can choose not to listen to them. You can choose not to receive the information that they put out. But yet a lot of people, they want to receive that kind of information. A lot of people like drama. Today in North America, they categorize these people as drama kings or drama queens. Anybody ever heard that statement? Oh, you're a drama king. Or you're a drama queen. You're just drama. You love drama. You gotta be caught up in drama. And people receive that. And guess what? Then that's what they get. You only gonna get what you want. And a lot of folks don't even know what they want. And they're looking, like we said in many lectures before, they're looking for other people to tell them what they want. That's humanity's problem in a nutshell. What is wisdom? What our Kohen said in his lecture blew me away. And I'm paraphrasing, but he said, God channels through people. That's wisdom. Well, what does God channel through people? Whatever people want. And yet people are out searching for powers, for energy, for Lord, for God, to tell them what they want. That's dictatorship. Powers will never do that. Powers only wants to give you what you really want. But a lot of folks don't know what they want. And thus, this is why the channeling factor is broken. There's no plug-in and no connection. And this brings me to the title of my lecture, which is this. Priests, but are not. You see, HaKohen, he did something this week. He sent me this email from this man. And in this email, this man said, yeah, I'm paraphrasing. I've been listening to a lot of groups on YouTube, and they actually speak against your teachings and speak against you, and brought up the whole thing where, you see it on YouTube, there's the slander about him saying about homosexuals and blah, blah, blah. But he said, I don't agree with that. He said, I believe you are, a Kohen of Israel. Because there's a lot of people claiming priesthood, but are not. You know, I'm a firstborn son. Any firstborns in the room? I'm a firstborn son. Firstborn. Baruch Hashem. Do you know I lost my right? The Torah told me I lost my right to priesthood. But yet a lot of people don't see that in the Torah. Anybody else firstborn son here besides myself? I lost my right to firstborn son status, which is priesthood. Well, I'm always going to keep my firstborn son status. But we were supposed to be the priesthood, the firstborn sons. We messed that up. We mucked it up to where there had to be some changes that needed to take place. And the family of Aaron was ordained forever to be the priesthood. So when people out here, everybody claiming priesthood, but you're not. Priesthood, but you're not. You see where we're going with this, Mishpah? You can say whatever you want to say. I don't have the tools nor the techniques to back up priesthood. I don't have that. And this is what you got to get down to. The how to. And who do you listen to? And what am I going to do? I know what I want to do. Well, who's going to equip me? Who's going to help me? Who's going to show me the how to what I want to do, what I want out of this journey, what I want out of this life? And I tell you, for my life, it's been Hakohi, Rabbi Simon out there. I've wanted a son for a very, very long time. I didn't have any children, but I wanted a son for a very long time. I could smell my son. I knew my son's name. I knew his name before he was even born. Years before. I had all that in place. You see? I remember in Hakohi's lecture, he talked about in the Hebrew, a lot of the phrases, a lot of the verses are past tense. I already knew I had a son past before present son Nakshan is here. Knew his name. I knew how he was going to look. I envisioned how he was going to look. Curly hair, light skin. I saw that already. I saw all this. I could feel it. That's faith, when you can feel it. It becomes real. Your family. Baruch Hashem. And so how did I get all of that? I got that from the real priest, the real deal. Just like this man in this email. It's like, look, I'm sticking with you because you are the priest of Israel. You are. Although I've been listening to a lot of things and saying that you're not, speaking against you, saying this, that, the other, I realize that you're real. You know what took you know how this man got to that point, just like I did? Through wisdom. You have to be filled with the ruach of wisdom. Like we see that in Exodus chapter 28, verse 3. To really be able to see through all the cloudiness. Why? Because you're above the cloud. Baruch Hashem. And you can see things. Give thanks for you who are listening via Facebook, who are listening via YouTube, that you can see amongst all the cloudiness. Because there's a lot of cloudiness out there. But you see, how many of you ever been in a flight before? And they say, oh, this weather is this, that, the third, bad weather, we're not going to be able to take off. But when that plane takes off and it gets above the clouds, it's raining and snowy, but above the clouds, it's sunny. Anybody ever seen that? Even witnessed that? Even experienced that before? You be like, man, isn't it beautiful, Oliver? Isn't it beautiful, Tara? You be like, wow, you're above the clouds and the freaking sun is out. And you're like, wow. But yet when you start to descend, man, it gets cloudy. Before you know it, you get a little turbulence going on and it's raining and snowing. Then you're like, man, amazing. Isn't that amazing? Technology is amazing. And I love flying. I don't know about you. I love to fly. And I'm like Akoi. I'm in line. I'm for vaccine. Listen, I have a feeling. I have feelings, and they're positive feelings. And I know because of my history and who I am, that listen, folks have been trying to take Israel out for years. The Hebrews for eons. Since the very beginnings when we deal with Lilith, Israel has been on the naughty list of a lot of people. But guess what? Just like in one of the titles of one of our website is, listen, Israel's forever. We're not going anywhere. When you have that feeling that you forever, Elolam Va'ed, you're not going anywhere. Then, all this fear factor can't touch you. All this negativity and running behind, oh, well, if I get vaccinated. They've been testing people of color for years trying to take them down. And they haven't. They haven't been able to. So what's the track record, really, Mr. Paul, when you look at it? You got fear on one side, and you got this people that are resilient. Family, tell yourself right now, you are resilient continuously, Baruch Hashem, right? You are definitely resilient continuously. You can't be, they can't, believe me, they tried. Go through our history, Mishpah. Study our history from the very beginning. Try to do it with Abram. They was hunting him down. They wanted to kill him. Couldn't do it. Right? They said, well, look, we're going to do it. We're going to enslave it. Couldn't do it. Egypt couldn't do it. You see? Couldn't be done. Cannot be done. And it won't be done, Mishpah. When you have that understanding, what are you afraid of? Then now you have a selection of vaccines you can choose from. Well, right now pretty soon we're gonna have 3 on the market to choose from. So just pick, like they say, pick your poison and then roll with it, because they cannot take you out, Israel. During this Black History Month, I got to see a documentary on the Tuskegee experiment. I mean, know about the Tuskegee experiment. Boy, that was something else. They experimented. That's something else, right? The Tuskegee experiment they had going on, where they gave them herpes? Was it herpes? One of these sexually transmitted diseases, to see how people of color were responding. Then they didn't tell them, and then they let them go out. Syphilis, that's what it was, Eddie. And then they let them go out into all and into the whole, to the world. Just let them go out into the neighborhoods and infect everybody. Isn't that something? But guess what? Blacks and browns are still here in North America, aren't we, Eddies? Still here. Syphilis couldn't take us out. But they wanted to experiment. And so the experimentation is nothing new for us Hebrews, children of Israel. So why do we concern ourselves with a piddly vaccine? Listen, let me tell you, especially if you hear news in North America, newsflash. This is not the first time that you have been vaccinated. You was vaccinated. Again, we can pull out the vaccination chart and prove it. All of you have one. So why all of a sudden? And guess what? You're still here. From infancy, you're still here. Come on now. You can say, oh me or oh my, but you're still here. So what's the big deal? And again, I am in the medical profession, but I'm not promoting and pushing none of these vaccines or anything or whatever. But at the end of the day, I want you to have a quality of a life and get on, and you're not living in fear, like our Cody said, trying to run into somebody's bunker, and hide from the world, come off the grid, like you hear on YouTube. Oh, you got to get off the grid. But what the hell do I want to get off the grid for? I'm riding the grid. Matter of fact, I'm flying high above the grid, and I'm having a wonderful life. Baruch Hashem. You see, that's the feeling that you need to have, not this feeling of fear. Not this feeling of fatigue. I don't know what to do. I'm so overwhelmed with all of this information overload. Well, take some of that stuff off your plate. And just like our Queen says, and just like Yeshua ben Yosef said, when people were heckling him and just scorning, shouting him down, separate yourself from these people. Get these people away from you. Remove these crowds, or remove the crowd. You know what I mean? So that you can begin to continue to manifest and to continue to dominate in this journey that you're going through right now. You're not going to go through this life just halfway. You're going to go through this life continually, infinitely, definitely abundant. Baruch Hashem. You're children of the covenants, Mishpah. When that negativity tries to come around, shoot it down just like that. All you got to do is say that you're continuously children of covenants. Continuously, definitely to the covenant. You can't be stopped, man. Well, you cannot be stopped unless you say you can be stopped. You see? This conditioning is something else. But at the end of the day, we can't even blame it on the conditioning that we receive in the countries that we're in. We have to take charge and take control. We dominate, not people dominating over. We're dominant. And we can resist any vaccine that comes against us because we already have. But unless you give that control of dominance to somebody else, and believe me, As a student of human nature, I'm seeing that a lot of people have given their control of dominance to somebody else so they can be dominated. Can't say, oh me, say, oh my. That's what we see here. But what is wisdom at the understand that God channels through you, people, family, whatever you want. Not whatever he wants to do. It's whatever, not whatever Powers wants to do. It's whatever you want to do. Powers he's going to use you as that vessel to manifest whatever you want to do. Whatever you want to be. However you want to feel. And believe me, that feel goes both ways, good or bad. It's a good, that feel both ways. If you want to feel bad, guess what? Powers will manifest through you to help you feel bad. Will bring all kind of bad back to your front door in an Amazon box. That's how you want it. Because there's a lot of people that want to feel that way. And they're happy in bad situations. Or like we talked about earlier, caught up in drama. And so with the Tuskegee experiment, people of color here in North America are still falling back on that today in reference to the virus that's coming out here for the corona. They say, well, look at what they did. Well, listen, I wasn't back there during the Tuskegee experiment. They didn't shoot me up with syphilis. So does that pertain to me today in 2021? But people are still falling back on that and say, no, I'm not going to go get no vaccine. You see what they got a history of doing this to us, blah, blah, blah. Fear. Use the rabbit holes of the fear factor. You see what I'm saying? Now, let's see. Are they in the room? Hey, Lion King and Lion Princess. And Hakoi, maybe you can answer that as a black and brown yourself. With the history of the UK, has there been anything like that Tuskegee experience in North America that had went on in the UK where experimentation was done on the blacks and the browns in the UK? Any kind of governmental type experiments that were done on these particular kind of people? You know, at one time, I was reading, and Black History Month, I was reading that they said that black people couldn't even feel pain. So they did tests on people of color because they said they couldn't feel pain. So they put them through these pain type situations to see, well, is this really true? Let's test it out. So I'm getting crickets, so maybe this hadn't happened in the UK. It's a North America thing. And you know why they did all these experiments on these people of color here in North America? Because at the end of the day, the powers that be feared people of color. There was a fear. So how do they deal with the fear? People fear what they don't understand. Oh, let's test. Let's test it. Let's test them. And kudos to blacks and the browns here in North America. Is that, powers that be were intimidated by you. To where they said, man, we got to curtail that. Let's throw some stumbling blocks in their way. And still to this very same day, stumbling blocks are being thrown in your way to prevent you from feeling good about yourself, from feeling excited, from feeling happy, from feeling super. They don't want that way. They want you to feel just the opposite. They want you to feel just the opposite, fearful, depressive, anxiety. And if you don't believe me, look at the side effects of medication. You can hear it on TV. You don't even have to read the bottle. They're going to tell you on TV, well, if you have this, we can treat that. But let's go down the laundry list. Let's go down the rabbit hole of side effects that you're going to have. Depression, anxiety. You're going to worry. And you're like, what the hell? You see? You can be like, what the hell? Lion Princess said, I missed the part of your question. Can you repeat it? Yeah, Lion Princess, has there been any kind of study equivalent to the study that was done to the Tuskegee experiment, to the Tuskegee, the airmen that was done to them here in North America? Has that been done at any kind of level in the UK that you know of in history? Has anything on that level been done? And Oliver, for you in France, has that been done as well that you know of that covered, oh, okay, yeah, we did these things to the blacks and browns in the UK. We did these things to the blacks and the browns in France. Has there been anything on that level? So, okay. Yeah, okay, good. That's what I figured, because you guys gave me crickets earlier. So, yeah, so just a North American thing. And you know why in North America? It's because they feared the people. They feared the blacks and the browns. There's something uniqueness about these people that they couldn't understand. So they said, what we're going to do, we're going to test. We're going to test. We're going to test. They had something about them. And the same thing I'm going to say, let's go back to I'm going to talk about this for a minute. I'm not going to be too long today. But I'm going to talk about this. The same thing with the priesthood. People fear what they don't understand. And of going to the priesthood, if they're really the priesthood, especially with the priesthood of Israel, I'm not talking about the priesthood of Rome, but the priesthood of Israel, and begin to put it to the test. Ask the question, what can I do and how do I do it? Well, what do I do? And you know what the priest of Israel is going to tell you? That he's going to respond just like Yeshua ben Joseph did, with a question. Your answer will be answered with a question. It's like, well, what do you want to do? And then he's going to say, it's the same formula, Mishpah. There's no changes here, like you get with the gurus over there. Oh, well, this price changes for this person, this price changes. Well, geographically, you'll change geographically, or depending on where you're located geographically. That's how we will surmise a price here. No, with the priest of Israel, and again, it's so flexible and it's so wide open, yet it's foundational as well. Boy, these F words coming out there. To where the same question is going to be asked you by the priest of Israel. Well, what do you want to do? Well, what do I do? Well, what do you want to do with this life? What do you want to do with this beautiful life that you've been blessed with and you've been given? What do you want to do with it? We're not talking about, he didn't ask you what your age was. What do you want to do with your life? Now that you have woken up and you understand, you come out of that conditioning and you realize who you are as Israel. Well, what do you want to do? And then you say, well, how do I do it? That's where he comes in and he gives you the how-to. And then you apply the how-to and you realize you tested this how-to and it's effective and it's worked for you. And you begin to manifest the things that you want to do. And you become happy and you become joyous and you become at peace. And then you begin to love. Number one, you begin to love yourself. And it's beautiful, isn't it? It is indeed beautiful. You begin to love yourself and realize that you do have a self. I tell you, that's beautiful. What is the wisdom in it? I tell you, the wisdom in it is that God channels to us whatever we want channeled. And believe it or not, this has been going on your whole life. Now you just coming to the realization of what's really going down. How many of you will agree with what I just said? This has been going on your whole life. You've been channeling things your whole life. This is nothing new, energy. Your energy. You've been channeling things your whole life. You just realizing the fundamentals and the foundation behind, the very of life itself and how you can take charge and control it and don't have to go running around here looking for control outside of yourself and trying to find it in a man, in a woman, in a building, in a pastor, in a preacher, in an evangelist, in Madam Cleo, the palm reader. No, you don't have to do none of those things. It's right within yourself. To channel positivity, not negativity. To channel positive things in your life. It's going to be better to give you good feelings about the hospitals, about doctors, about North America, about the whole world. Good feeling. That's the kind of faith I roll with. The faith of good feelings. Not the faith of negativity, conspiracy theory, and depression. There's no time for all that. There's too much life to live. Yes, group of shit. Right. And so what folks need to do is remove themselves from all the negativity. You got to either remove yourself or move it out. You see, it's got to be removed. You see. And until you do that, you're hindrance to you. The Master Yeshua, He talked about it as he raised, the 12-year-old from the dead. He had to first remove all the hecklers. Y'all got to go. So he took the bouncers, Kefa, and he removed all the, y'all got to go. Y'all got to get out. This needs to be an environment of positivity, not doubt, not anxiety and worry and depression and fear. Oh, no time for that. Let the clowns go be a clown at the circus. We over here taking care of business. We over here, we're going to change people's sadness into joy, Do you not believe that mother and father, that 12-month-old, why I keep saying that? Do you not believe that mother and father of a 12-year-old were totally happy and excited to have their daughter walking and talking once again? I bet you, Yeshua ben Yosef said, hey, make sure you cook her a meal. I bet you that was one of the best meals that girl ever had in her lifetime, right? Because they were in a celebratory mood. Oh, man, we're happy. We're excited. But before, they had to remove all the negativity. Everybody's already going through the stages of grief mode and depressed and sad. Let me give you a revelation. Newsflash. Wisdom won't come to you in that environment. How many of you understand that? Wisdom, Mother Wisdom, the Imhokmah, she ain't gonna come to you if you're depressed, if you're in fear. Why do you think the Master Yeshua, Ben Yosef, said, look, y'all, we got to get these people out of here because wisdom can't be around that. The powers of Israel won't dwell in a place where there's, anxiety and fear and doubt and worry. And when that doubt comes in the form of those hecklers, oh man, you can't, who the hell are you to come here and raise it? You see, these are people of non-belief. They had negative feelings. Not positive, no, this girl's not there, she just sleep. I totally agree with you. Come on, let's go in here and wake her up. I believe this girl can breathe again. So a big part of it, Mishpah, is you got to remove yourself out of that environment of people who do not foster good feelings, but foster fear. Matter of fact, not only foster it, but embrace it. They embrace fear. They love it. They in the fear tent. Oh, they love that. Conspiracy tent, anxiety tent, doubt tent. How you get in that doubt tent? You continue to listen to all the conspiracy theories and you begin to doubt every good thing that could come your way is being hindered by doubt. It comes to you and it looks at you and then it goes away because you doubt it. Because everybody around you telling you. Oh, and I totally agree with what Akoy said. The coronavirus is killing people. That's for real. So if you keep with this false narrative of fear, you're killing yourself because you'll never take a vaccine. When you've already had from somebody, if I'm not mistaken, y'all wanted to mention about 10 to 12 of vaccines already. I mean, what's another one to add to the list? But it all goes back to how you feel. Akoy, you're absolutely right with that. And that happy little bracelet, see, now there's people promoting that. And they understand. Listen, mainstream, you're looking at the, mainstream people who, entrepreneurs, they're saying, man, let's make money off people's feelings to help them understand that they can change the way they feel. Man, I tell you, that's something else. Now they're making money off of your feelings. Isn't that something? Put on this bracelet, and it's going to help you feel at peace. It's going to make you happy. It's going to give you joy. Wear this bracelet. It's going to emit these magnetic waves that's going to change how you feel. So my question is to humanity, and as you as students of human nature as well, do people really care about how they feel? What do you think? Let me get your take on that. Do you really think people, human beings, care about how they feel? Think about that for a minute. Do you, in your experience, do you think that human beings really care about how they feel? Do you really do that? So I'm telling you, this is a win-win situation because, again, if people care about how they feel, then this particular company that's making these devices, and I'm pretty sure there's more than one out there, and there's all kind of little trinkets that you can get to assist you in this area. But when it comes back to the priesthood, there's no device that's required. The device is already within you to help you control how you feel because you are in control. You don't have to wear a bracelet to tell you that's going to dictate or to help you know how you're going to feel. You already know. You have everything within you to do that. You don't need a happy device. You are the happy device. Continually. You are that happy device. You are definitely that happy device. Continuously. So you don't need the, these accessories. See, because you're happy, everything else is complementary to it. Baruch Hashem. Isn't that beautiful? Everything else complements your happiness. Or vice versa. If you're depressed, everything you're going to complement your depression. You see? The Torah says, you make your own happiness. Oh, you do indeed. But yet, let's look at this on the flip side as students of human nature. You also make your own sadness, don't you? You do it on your own. Yet people are running to pills to fix it. They're running to devices to fix it when everything that they need in this journey is already within them. You're already equipped with the tools. They just need to be called out. You need somebody, and one of those questions that I asked earlier was, how do I do it? Who do you listen to? That's key. Help you pull. See, anybody else you listen to besides a son of Aaron is going to give you all this malarkey that don't materialize, and you never manifest anything from it. But I'm telling you now, and I'm indebted to our Kohen for the rest of this life and my life to come and my children's lives to come. Baruch Hashem. Is that my son Nakshan is sleeping in the bed right now because of our Kohen. He's here right now because not only did our Kohen give me instruction, but I listened to his instruction. Baruch Hashem. And now my son Nakshan is here. He is actually here, breathing and walking and talking and just full of joy, love, peace, and happiness, man. It's real. Everybody says, I've never seen a baby that's just so happy. And I say, you probably never will. He is happiness continuously. He is definitely happy all the time. I'm telling you. And it's a beautiful thing. So I know that if you're here and you're listening via Facebook or you're listening via YouTube, that you're here. Just stop and remember what wisdom really is. Wisdom is God channeling through people. But that particular vessel of person has to, you have to meet a certain criteria. And one of those things is you got to be happy. You got to be at peace with yourself. You can't be upset, mad, hating, depressed, in fear. Then, wisdom can't find you. You see, it's very, very important to understand. I remember being in that club. I wasn't sad or upset. I was just determined to want to, so I remember I quoted, as one of the most myriad of times that he gave his testimony. I remember he said, he was determined to hear from God. I get that. How many of you get it? When he said, man, look, I was determined to hear from Powers. Powers was going to talk to me, and I don't care how long it took for him to talk to me, but he was going to talk to me. Because that determination, I was determined to know what God's will was. Then I realized when, and I wasn't upset or angry or anything, but I just had a determination about me that I was going to go in my prayer closet every time about this time, and I was going to do this until I hear from God. And God came to me in that still, small, quiet voice in the form of Mother Wisdom, Yem Hokmah. Determination. And said, my will is my word. Then that put me on the road. Then YouTube, I found Hakohen on YouTube, and it was a wrap. It was a wrap after that. It was a wrap. Chadasha Grace says, I was saying there has to be more. Oh, indeed. That determination. And I guarantee you didn't say it just one time. You were saying that continuously. There has to be more. There has to be more. And there is. You see, but yet a lot of people are not at that point. You see, they're willing to just continue on with the dog and pony show or still play that record. Oh, let's just continue to do this and we hope so. And they love hoping. And hope, take that out of your vocabulary if you have it in there. But they love hoping. You see, because what kind of feeling is hope? Does hope leave you excited? No, hope leaves you, when I see the word hope and I visualize the word hope, I see a big question mark above it. It just leaves you like, okay, I'm still hoping. And I'm still going to hope. And I'm still hoping. And I'm still hoping. But nothing material. It's not, there's no, there's no, like I couldn't talk about having, powerful affirmation to it. You're just hoping. So basically, you leave yourself susceptible to whatever comes your way. Oh, that's what hope brought to me. I'm gonna accept it. No, don't do that. Well said. Adasa said, hope is not certain. Right, it's uncertain. Well, just whatever comes my way, that's God's will for me. No! Yet do you know that statement that I just said? A lot of people world over roll with that statement. Well, I'm going to just accept what the universe has given me. You don't have to do that. When the universe is saying, well, what do you want? And we're going to help you through you bring whatever you want into in your physical realm to where you can touch it and feel it and have good feelings about it. Wow, that's wisdom. So when we read that Exodus 28:3 where it says, whom I have filled with the ruach of wisdom, Miss Bahar, let me tell you. Want to talk about building your temple? If you don't have that ruach of wisdom, if you're not filled with the ruach of wisdom, you're not going to be able to build no temple. Matter of fact, you're going to be looking for a temple to go to instead of realizing that I am the temple. Like I told you, and I'll tell you again and reiterate, this is the fact on the ground is that our temple is not standing. Our temple is actually in ruins. And I say that in a good way because the powers of Israel want you to understand that the temple is not the source. It's in ruins. It's not standing. We are the source. It reminded me of that song that did. Remember when AIDS first came out and it was killing a lot of people? I think it was back in the 80s. Michael Jackson and all the singers got together. What did they do? They wanted to raise money. And then what's that song that they sang? We Are the World. Anybody remember that? I think it was back in the 80s. I was still in high school, man. And I remember that. I was like, wow. What are the things to help with the AIDS, the AIDS thing, epidemic and crisis that was going on all over the world? And they wanted to have this fundraiser. You guys in the UK remember that? Because they got artists from all over the world. And they came together and they all sang this song and made the CD to raise money to help with, with medicine to help deal with this, AIDS issue. But they say, we are the world. We are the children. We are the ones that can make a brighter day. So let's start living. You see that? Listen, we are the ones that can make a brighter day. You see? It's within us. We can make that brighter day. They don't have to be doomy and gloomy and coming to an end in an apocalyptic manner. You know what I mean? And just bombs everywhere. And all of the atomic bombs of the world going to go off at the same time. And the earth is going to be destroyed. Man, come on, man. That's one of the rabbit holes of the fear factor. No time for it. There's no place in your period in this life that you're going through in this journey for that. Why? It's because your motivation is on building your place. Why? It's because you have within you, Mother Wisdom. That wisdom that our forefathers had to establish and erect, a tent of meetings, a mobile tent. You too have that within you. Why I know this is because you have attached yourself to a son of Aaron. I know you have Mother Wisdom. Only Mother Wisdom can bring this about. Just like with the man who sent in the email. Only Mother Wisdom. He has the Mother Wisdom to understand who a Kohen in the gate really is and who is not. The phony baloney out there. And he can sift through all the clouds and ride above it and see the sun. And he can take his energy from the sun and go out and manifest whatever he desires for himself. Why? It's because the who do you listen to is checked off. That box is checked off. So he understands the Kohen in the gate, the children of Israel. the priesthood has been set apart. Firstborns are set apart within the family of Israel, but the priesthood has been set apart to answer the what and the how to do to make my life better, to make your life better, if you want a better life. To make your life better, because you have the ability to make it by calling in whatever you desire from the universes. We're all intertwined. We're all connected. Everything from the universes to the Milky Ways to the galaxies to the Earths and all the planets, we're all connected. Powers channeled through people with whatever they want. And see, this is why, I tell you, that's revelation. That is wisdom. But there's a lot of people that are still running with, they don't know what they want because they want to know what they want God to tell them what they want. I was there. I've been there. You see, we have this special subset of a family, the sons of Aaron. They've been mandated with a special task. Their remit is to do, they special. They just special people. If I can sum up our Kohen in one word, he's just special. He's special. He's got these special abilities. And all of you in this room can affirm that. He's just got these special abilities that's just above my pay grade level. I don't comprehend that stuff. But when he teaches it to me, I understand it. And believe me, just like you said, there's many things that he hadn't taught us yet. Because we're not ready for it. But he's special. He knows so much. And he just drips it out to us. He drips it out to the family. So that we can take it, utilize it within our families, and then, you know what? Let it permeate in our environment, in our worlds. Now, are you understanding, one of the layers in the beauty of the exile? Do you understand why the dispersion is so beautiful? And you always hear me say, man, the dispersion, that's a beautiful thing. That is an amazing thing. You're going to go to some YouTube sites and going to say, man, the exile, man, that's terrible. That's horrible. We're not in Israel. That's just terrible. No, do you see the beauty of being, placed in the nations and dispersed and scattered to the four corners? Beautiful. Beautiful, isn't it? It's because once we're happy, then that happiness, once we're at peace, once we love ourselves and our households, then that begins to spread out in our neighborhood, in our countries, in our cities, in our towns. And before you know it, my goodness, the world is continuing in a better place. And the world is definitely continuously in a better place. Because that's what I see with my eyes. And that's what I envision with my third eye. And that's what I visualize. Because it's real. And that's the world that I live in. That's the real world. So you look at this portion, basically it's just all about the priesthood. But now that connection between powers and Israel has been connected. And I'm going to close with reading Exodus chapter 28, verses 44 through 46. So I will consecrate the tent of appointed times and the altar, and I will also consecrate both Aaron and his sons to minister to me as priests. Baruch Hashem. Aaron and his sons. Remember I told you earlier. Kohen is a product of Aaron's sons. Baruch Hashem. A descendant. Baruch Hashem. Look at verse 45. I will dwell among the children of Israel and will be their Elohim. We said the temple's in ruins in Israel. That's a fact. But guess what? Also is a fact. Exodus 28:45. I will dwell with the children of Israel and be their Elohim. HaKohen has made that connection with us so that we can truly dwell with the Elohim of Israel, with the powers of Israel. We have that now. That connection is firm. And it cannot be unless you want to unplug it. Look at verse 46 of Exodus 28. For they shall know that I am Yahweh the Elohim, who brought them up out of the land of Mitzrayim. Listen, Baruch Hashem, if the powers of Israel, Yahweh, brought our forefathers out of Egypt, do you not think he can deal with a piddly Corona plague with where you are right now? Come on now. How do you feel, family? How do you feel now when you know that this same powers that you serve brought our forefathers up out of the land of Mitzrayim, the land of Egypt, the land of slavery and bondage? That's the same thing HaKohen has done for us, hasn't he? I was in bondage in Catholicism and Christianity and non-denominationalism. Bitch, not no more. Hashem, that I may dwell among them. I am Yahweh their Elohim. That's real. The relationship we have with powers now, in your life right now, I can tell you my life right now has never been stronger, and it only gets stronger because I continue to move from strength to strength to strength. Continuously. I am definitely moving from strength to strength to strength continuously. Baruch Hashem. Todah Rabbi HaKohen for your lecture today to help us amp up, to help make us powerful affirmations, to better our lives. I tell you, this is like fast track stuff here. My goodness. And to help manifest even quicker, Baruch Hashem. Beautiful. Beautiful. So on that note, I'm going to wrap it up. I know we've been going a long time today. I'm going to wrap it up for the Shabbat. But I would encourage you all to continue. And remember the question that I asked you guys. We'll save it for next Shabbat. But I asked you guys about, what have you learned? What have you learned this week? From humanity. What lesson? What's your takeaway from your past 6 days of labor? Take that going forward to these 6 days of labor and let's learn something. Now, we already gearing up for Passover. That's coming up quick. So make your preparations. Start getting your meats lined up or whatever, however you celebrate it. And, let's continue to make this world continually a better place, definitely forever. Baruch Hashem. So on that note, we'll wrap it up for this Shabbat. I'll say Shabbat Shalom and Shalom Shalom to all of you. Have a great Shabbat. Have a great 6 days of labor ahead. And let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving, Israel.
Todah for that, Rabbi Kefa. So we have Passover for us is very straightforward. You don't need to wait for calculation of lunar dates or anything. April 3 is a Passover for us every year. The date never changes. It's a solar calendar. April 3 for those of you who want to keep the solar calendar. And those of you who want to go the other way, which is a lunar calendar, then of course, then you have to wait for the Passover 2021, which will be a Jewish lunar date. And then that changes every year. It is not the same date. They have to wait for the lunar calculations because lunar days are, as you are aware, they are 29 days, sometimes 30, sometimes 29 and a half, etc. So there's a dark moon and the clear moon, and my goodness, there's so many variations. You don't know where to stop. So my suggestion is if it's a job thing and you have to give dates for your job, then of course you have to do what is best for you according to your job. But for me it's very simple. April 3, it's straightforward. April 3 this year is going to be a Wednesday, and our Passover falls on Wednesday. That is the 14th Nisan for us. And that's what Rabbi Kefa and myself, that's what we're going to do. We're going to do our Passover April 3 as we do it every year. And those of you who decide to go the alternative route, which I know some of you might decide to go the other way, and that's okay. With that, you simply have to go and keep a tab on the lunar calendar. Then you're going to have to carry that lunar calendar, and I believe that according to the lunar calendar this year, I believe it's March 27, and March 27 probably will be the date. And I was reading somewhere that this this thing about the barley of being Aviv, which is written in the Torah. Some people look for the barley being Aviv in Israel, which to me is totally nonsensical theology, because they don't even understand the point of that, but they go searching in Israel down the, road and saying, oh, where's the barley Aviv? If the barley is Aviv, we're going to celebrate our Passover. If it's not Aviv, then we have to wait another month, etc., etc. This is a kind of nonsense that these people are into, to wait for the barley being Aviv. My question is this, that if God wanted us to wait for barley being Aviv in Israel, which is a totally wrong understanding of what these people do, and they want to do that, that's okay, it's their choice. But if God wanted us to wait for the barley to be Aviv, then what the hell were we doing in the desert for 40 years? Where was I going to go and check my barley in the desert? Can anybody answer that for me? Or did God make a mistake and keep us in the desert for 40 years? We could go around and around in circles, like on a roundabout in England, and we were waiting for the barley to be Aviv. Just think about that for a minute. So this is my point, that each one of these groups that you join, some of them want to wait for a dark moon, some of them want to wait for some other type of moon, or maybe now they'll wait for the orbiter to land in Mars or something. But so you get accurate location. But the interesting thing is this, that if I'm going to wait for the barley to be Aviv in Israel, well, what do I do if I'm going to live in India or Pakistan or Kathmandu? What am I going to do with that? I'm going to wait for barley to be Aviv in Israel, but my family lives in Kathmandu, or my family lives in London and there's no barley over there. So what do? Do I now go and, ask the British government, well, when is the barley going to be Aviv in England? See, this is my point. My point is that the verses are taken out of context. And if God wanted us to wait for barley to be Aviv, and then we were just wasting our time in the desert for 40 years, because we had no barley in the desert. We just had snakes and rats running around. So again, case in point, the problem is that the Torah is very complex in many areas, and it's very spiritual. And a lot of people still don't understand the Torah, and they're still running around looking for barley. So, when you are in a piece of land, like if you're in America and you grow barley in America, then you can say, yeah, our barley is Aviv in end of February or end of March. You get a hello, the barley is Aviv. Then you can time your festivals, or and Israel has been. And let me tell you the story of Israel. Israel has been a barren land since the destruction of the temple. After the destruction of the temple, after 135 CE, when they killed Bar Kokhba, when they killed him, who they proclaimed as a Messiah, who didn't turn out to be the Messiah. So when they killed him, then Israel was a barren land from about 150 CE to about 1917, 1920, Israel was a dead, barren land. So where are you going to go search for barley now? So think very carefully where, what kind of theologies people have been teaching out there and still teach. So I would very caution you to beware of these kind of theologies and not to get mixed up into that kind of nonsense. Because we do not live in Israel. Most of you live in America. Some of you live in England, Europe, France, Germany, maybe other countries in the East. So therefore, if you had no connection with Israel, if there was no internet today, and there was no internet in Moses' time, then how would Moses know when is the barley Aviv in Israel? Because he was outside Israel. So from that point of view, we have always worked a solar calendar. We have never worked a lunar calendar. So this lunar calendar, lunacy, only came about when these people decided that they wanted to switch to the lunar calendar. This was after the Greco-Roman rule, that tried to force our people to give up the Torah, and it's after that we came to the lunar calendar. There was no such thing. In Jesus' time, no such thing happened. There was no such thing called the lunar calendar. So beware, the lunar calendar was invented in the 4th century CE by Elder Hillel. Go check it out for yourselves. Okay? So we always did the days on solar, and on sunrise. That's how we did it. So you've been, empowered. You've been given a lot of information. It's entirely up to you now how you utilize the tools and the techniques that have been given you so that you can empower yourselves and you can live absolutely great lives for yourselves and for your families. So, I wish you all very well, happy lives, and, great life ahead. Ayel, you're saying that when someone dies, are they reborn into the same family when they return or reborn? The answer is a definite no. They're not born into the same family. Definitely no. So they are reborn, they do come back, but they can come back into different families. That choice of where they come back is very complex and is made above. That choice is not made on the earth plane, that is made in the heavenly plane, and it is made before that person is reborn. No, Eddie, that animal kingdom idea is just simply maybe a Buddhist or a Hindu theology. We do not believe and teach anything like that. We do not become animals. We do not become animals. We do not become objects like a brick. These are just stories that you might hear Jews, talking about somebody became a brick in a synagogue. These are just stories to teach a point. That is not true. People do not become a brick. Brick is made in the kiln, brick kiln. You do not become a brick. In order for you to become a brick, well, you'll have to be clay and you'll have to be mud, and then they'll have to form you into not one brick, but out of your body, probably several bricks will come out. Maybe at least, 7, 8 bricks. So, no, you're not a brick, and you'll never become a brick. You'll never become a dog, and you'll never become a snake. What you will become when you reincarnate, when you come back, you will be a human being. That's what you will be. Now, I can't guarantee you what color you will be. I can't guarantee you'll be white. I can't guarantee that. Or you'll be brown or dark brown. All these things are decided up there by God. He decides it, what color and where to put you and what country, and then you go there. Yeah, Rabbi, not a cow either. And you do not want to eat that cow who was a human in the previous life. Of course not. So that's kind of funny that you're definitely not going to be a Texas cattle either. So you're going to be a human being of some type of human, male or female, and you're going to be in one of the countries, whether that's Europe, whether that's in America, and that's just the plain things on the ground, plain facts. Exactly. So that you will be people. So I don't think you want to become a brick in somebody's house. Otherwise, you'll be listening to all the arguments. And they heard this. You heard the saying that bricks have or walls have ears. Well, maybe Rabbi Kefa, can you imagine yourself being a brick in a house? Can you imagine that? That's just plain funny. I tell you that. It's just plain funny. So that's only to teach a point. And that's a Hindu, ideology that you might become an animal because you did bad things. But listen, if you got a Hebrew soul, if you got a Jewish soul, then you still will be born as a Jewish man or a woman. You will still be born as a Hebrew man or woman. Yes, that is a given. That is a given. You will be born as a Hebrew person, man or woman, with the same Hebrew soul. But your face, your looks will change. You may not have the same looks. I mean, you will be a different looking person and nobody will recognize you. Nobody's going to look at you and say, oh yeah, that was, Rabbi Kefa in his previous life. Say that. That'd be funny, isn't it? Rabbi Kefa been born again. Oh, Rabbi Kefa over there is born again. That would be some funny, thing to see. Little Rabbi Kefa running around like a little baby. Can you imagine, right? Nakshan. I mean, what if Rabbi Kefa was born as Nakshan? Looking like a Chinese and a mix of Chinese and American. Well, that be quite funny as well. But so no, that it won't be like that. So he will be a human being, and he will still be a Hebrew. He won't be born into a Gentile family. That's only for the Hebrew nation, only the covenant people. The covenant people will be born back into a covenant family, but they will be part of the sons of Abraham or the daughters of Abraham. They will still be in one of the families of Abraham. They won't be what we classify as Gentiles. So anyhow, have a great time. I think it was a longer lecture today. So I am, certain that you'll pick up a lot of great information from this lecture, and you will, move forward, and you will go from strength to strength, to with Torah, hold up Torah and live the Torah and be blessed for the rest of your lives. Todah, Shabbat Shalom, Shalom Shalom. Happy Purim to all of you. If you wish to support our work, you can go to www.forever-israel.com or www.abrahamic-faith.info, and there is a donate now icon for PayPal, and you can send in a donation of your choice from that particular address. You can also use Cash App, and you can use PayPal directly, and you can send a donation to Shimon63, SHIMOUN63 @yahoo.com, or you can send a donation to $SIMALT with the Cash App. We greatly appreciate your support in this endeavor for us to spread the truth and the correct way for people to better their lives and to serve the God of Israel in their lives. Thank you, and may you be blessed forever. Amen. Amen.